Welcome to the 15th anniversary of the Lost Lowdown with podcast 202 with your hosts, Claude and Justin.
What's up, guys?
All right, so we are back this time with a live podcast on Discord discussing all things Lost and Lowdown, as well as doing another commentary on episode 617, The End. And we'll also have a couple of surprises here before we jump into the commentary. But yeah, we want to thank everybody for joining us live here. This is literally the 15th anniversary. We released the first episode of Lost Lowdown May 8th, whatever 15 years ago was, 2006.
There you go.
And it was just kind of fortuitous that we planned it on this date. And I looked back and saw, wow, this is the exact 15-year anniversary.
Yeah, it wasn't a plan, but maybe on a deeper level, it was a plan.
Yeah. So I see we've got some longtime LLDers in the chat here. We've got Lynn, we've got Steven, we've got Vince, we got Tiziduze, which I've never known how to pronounce that. This is a great time.
Tizudize?
Tizudize? I feel like one of those letters is probably silent.
Mm.
One of the Z's you pronounce and one you don't, and you take a pick.
Okay.
This will not be an all-nighter. We're not going to go all night. This will probably be a couple hours as we get through the commentary series. But we've had that multi-hour podcast before, as you guys know. I don't think we're going to do that tonight, but I guess we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Anything's possible.
Yeah. Again, thanks for joining us, everybody. So, Justin, 15 years, man. I mean, how?
Yeah. Why?
When?
Where?
Who?
What?
And, okay, Yahtzee, you won. That's how you went.
Those are all the questions. Questions.
15
No,
years
it's fair.
ago,
I mean, it's a good question.
It's so funny how life works out, right? Because as probably everyone here knows, and most people listening knows, like the way the Lost Lowdown started was Lost was on TV. Neither of us gave a shit. It was in season 1. I remember seeing a promo for the show, and I was like, "Oh, Gilligan's Island. I don't know. Like, no. What's the worst that can happen? They'll be found, right? Like, how interesting can this show be?" So I really didn't have any interest in it. And then a friend of mine basically was by this point it was season 2, and a friend of mine explained the classic I'll never forget of just like, yeah, the show is about a guy in a box underground and he has to press a button or else the world will end. And what I pictured in my head was like, well, that's not Gilligan's Island. I gotta go watch this thing, and watch it. I did, and hooked. I got, and I was like, "Hey, Justin, you should watch this show, especially season 1, as we all know, it was like the best season." And then, what was it like for you, Justin? What was your beginning of Lost?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like building on that because you told me about it, so it's really just like an after effect. But yeah, I think it wasn't. I don't know. It was weird. I remember that description. That's such a classic thing because, like, the weird thing is, like, that wasn't even. I don't know. That wasn't even like the biggest hook to me. Like, it was cool, but what actually drew me to the show was like other stuff, but that idea of like there's a man in a box, and like that's such an interesting idea. I almost wish that show was out there somewhere. It's not quite what Lost is, but it was definitely like enough of a hook. I think yeah, the weird thing was I was like, okay, watch this, and I think I was actually like put off a little bit by the pilot. I think if you listen to the Avengers podcast, you can tell by the way I talk about like the action sequences and stuff that
Mm-hmm. What's your favorite thing?
I'm just like not. I don't know. It's like I don't mind them, but there's something about my brain that just kind of tunes out a little bit when action's going on. And so like Lost, like the pilot starts like right away. After the initial disorientation, which I enjoyed that part, but then it's just like Jack running around and oh my god, exploding planes and go over here and go over there and
Mm-hmm.
this person's in trouble and now that and it was just like I was just like, oh, okay, it's like an action show. I mean, that wasn't really a correct representation of what the show was like in general. Even in season one, I mean, they would do that stuff like in the finale episode, but for the vast majority of the show, it wasn't like constant action. But anyway, when I saw that, I was like, okay, whatever. It didn't really catch my interest that much, but I kept plugging away, and it was enough, string, the orange smile and all that like weirdness from the early days.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of pulled me along, and I think for me, as far as like really being hooked, I think it was really Raised by Another and Ethan, and the idea that there were other
Oh man,
people
I
there,
could not
you
get enough
know
Ethan.
yeah, it was a game changer. I don't know. To me, that actually made the show interesting, more so somehow. I mean, the Danielle episode before that was also good for a similar reason, but the others were scarier in a way because we didn't know anything about them, and they had infiltrated the camp already without our knowledge. I mean, it was just such a, I don't know. It was a huge surprise, and it just changed the game of the show. And I mean, we all know where that went, but
Mm-hmm.
it was good at the time. I mean, the others are never scarier than in season one. So
Yeah, before we get to know that there's nothing to be scared of.
yeah, exactly. They're just as clueless, if not more so,
Mm-hmm.
as everyone else. They're just
At
like,
what point did you okay, and then you were like hooked on the show, and then you started
yeah.
listening to other Lost podcasts. There was a couple that had already
Oh yeah,
started.
yeah, yeah. So I got by that point, like I was deep into it, right, and caught up with the show, and I was watching it, live. I remember the first episode I watched live was Fire Plus Water, which is
Oh,
really,
my
really
condolences.
not great. Like, oh boy, this is ugh. But it did pick up again, shortly after that. Is the Henry Gales plot starts, and like that was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, and then it was really lockdown, with the Blastdoor map and stuff, where I
Oh,
think I
bless
was
that
reading the
man.
forums. I'm not sure exactly how I ended up like hearing about the idea
Mhm.
of a Lost podcast, but um but yeah, I found out that they were, that was a thing. And
Yep.
as I've mentioned before, I listened to the Lost cast, on lockdown, and they were like going over the Blastdoor map and like a lot of detail, like reading all
Yep.
the crap that's in there, the Latin, and it's a bad plan that can't be changed, and all that classic nonsense. And I really thought like the show was a a puzzle, like a code. There was you do screen caps and you're gonna learn some secrets. I just had like a totally different attitude, but that spirit was
Yes.
what made me want to do a podcast, because listening to it, it was like, oh man, that sounds fun. Like I would love to do that. And I mean, we were already talking about the show. Um, we just weren't recording it. So,
Yep.
it just seemed natural to like, oh, you could record this thing and then people listen to it. And that's just kind of cool, for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, I remember that the Blaster map lockdown. Oh man, the hype, the idea that the show was inviting you to help solve the mysteries of what is the island, which was not what it was doing, but that's
No,
what
not
it
really.
seemed like it was doing, and it felt like,
Yeah.
oh, what? And then they were doing all the like, what do they call that? I forgot the term for that. But all the stuff they were doing on websites, right? With the
Oh, the
bringing the
ARG, the
yeah,
Lost Experience.
Yeah, they were doing all that stuff,
Yeah,
right?
the diary. Ooh.
Diary on ABC.com, where it felt like, oh, if you read this stuff and if you did the research and you spent enough time on it, you could get ahead of the characters and you could figure out what things were, what things meant and how it affected the show and the characters. And that was such a fantastical prospect. It was so easy to get hooked. I mean, the Blastdoor map going on. I learned Latin. I enrolled in the oldest Latin academy in Italy, and it cost
I
me 50
remember that. I
non-refundable Italian dollars. And
Italian dollars.
yeah, and I was like, I didn't think there were Italian dollars, and they were like, yes, there's Italian dollars, but they said it in Italian, of course.
Right.
But no, yeah, it was just such a super fun time. And then basically, what was the question you asked next, Justin?
Hey, do you want to do a podcast?
The 15-year-long question. Yeah, little did I know, there hasn't been that many questions that I've been asked in my life that require so much of me over such a long time.
If you
Yeah,
knew then what you know now.
yeah, I don't know what I would have said.
I don't either. It would have been weird.
Mhm.
It would have been weird. I think it's the kind of thing where you don't actually want to know it at the time.
I know. I mean, so much of producing the podcast was such a headache, depending on the technology and services
Oh
we were
my
using.
God, there were some nightmares.
Because Justin and I have basically never lived in the same city in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
So most recording is usually supposed to be, the people are in the same room and you can set up your mics and your
Yeah, that's how
your-
Lostcast did it. They just sat in a
Yeah.
room.
Oh, it must have been so nice.
It is. We've done a couple like that, like two or three, I think, where we just sat in a room. But yeah, that's very rare.
Yeah. So we had to find all these different tech tools to make it work, and a lot of them did not work very well, and
Oof.
headaches. And we had that whole period of time where, like, for no apparent reason, we would get this time sync differential.
Yeah. We would record our audio separately, and they would just slowly desync.
The longer the podcast went, the more they would be off, and it made no sense. We went to get some consultations with some physicists. They didn't know what was happening. They assumed it had something to do with quantum mechanics, but we were out of Italian dollars to pay them more.
Why did they take an Italian dollar?
They were Italian physicists.
Oh,
Listen,
okay. Got it.
My experts live in Italy.
I see. Okay, got it. Physiciano Italiano, got it.
There it is, whatever you said. And but yeah, it's definitely been a really long adventure. It's been super fun. I'm glad that what's really interesting, obviously looking back 15 years, is how much we've changed over the years, right? And obviously we're talking about the last episode of Lost, which is obviously a good time to look back at the characters and see how much they've grown and changed. And so yeah, it's pretty interesting, man. It's been an interesting ride. I wouldn't have predicted we'd still be going 15 years, because I just would have said, well, what will we be talking about? Like, once the show was over, like, well, what would you like really have to say about it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
definitely how I felt about most shows,
Yeah.
They end, you move on, you let it go, as it were. Because I don't know. I think I've watched a lot of TV, and I think that's the other thing about those days is like, I wasn't watching like a lot of serialized TV in the early days, so it was kind of a newish thing for me, and so I think like that time in between has, I've seen so many other shows, so I have a better perspective on what the thing is about Lost per se, versus other shows, that makes it like relentlessly, I don't know what the right word is, but it makes it really hard to just give it up or move on, or you let it go completely, because it just hangs around in your head. The from the actual mysteries to the problems with the show to like these like weird questions that we would harp on over the years, and also just like evolving understanding of like what the show was about and what the point was and what we
Mhm.
should have been focusing on. And that changed so much, because if you talk about those early days, it's so clear that like, yeah, like we just were not watching the show. I mean, they wanted people to watch. They certainly put that stuff in there for people to study, but it's clear to me that they never had any intent to make the fine-grained details of the blast door map like really important in the show. Like it was clear in season 2 that they weren't doing that,
Mhm.
like Locke draws like a half-ass version of it with like a question mark in the middle, and then they go find a question mark, and it's the Pearl Station, and then it blows up. I mean, like, what else? That was it. Like, they never went back to it. I think we realized that even back then, Um, but nonetheless,
Yeah.
I think it was still really hard, over time, because like, we spent so much time on the podcast, like decoding the mysteries. I mean, you can write down. I mean, I think actually there was a list on the finale podcast, like Vince's list of mysteries, of like all these like little things that popped up over the course of the show, and that it's a huge sustaining thing. And it is interesting to talk about that stuff, and it's hard to say it doesn't matter when there's so much of it. But it's sort of like it matters if you want it to.
Yeah.
If you're the type of person that wants to get invested in that, you can. There's plenty of people who could just watch the show, more like some of the other characters, and just get involved in the character level drama and not really worry about the finer points of what the cabin was about, or whatever.
Mhm.
Because I think like that's the show that they really delivered on more.
Yeah.
So I feel like those people were, they had something. But nonetheless, despite the fact that they didn't really deliver on that stuff, there is still something particular that I think we put our finger on in various ways at various points in the podcast, about the way they present mysteries that is really, I think, unlike other shows, except for maybe some other Damon Lindelof stuff, where it's like it's just not the normal like mystery solution or mystery ambiguous. It's like it'll be some weird other thing.
Yeah.
Um, and there's the Lindelof shuffle, and the sort of disappointing answer, the like, why did you care about that kind of answer.
Mhm.
um so yeah, I just think I think it's weird. It's weird because I think that stuff like was not, in terms of what they were really focused on and intending to like deliver on, that wasn't the focus. But the particular way that they presented it is still interesting, even though it's incomplete and kind of frustrating. So I don't know. that's that's my attempt to summarize the deal
Yeah.
with Lost.
Yeah. So speaking of our first Lost podcast, so we had that like weird thing we did before the official first version of Lost, which has now been lost to the annals of time. But that little thing we did about Ana Lucia, right? And
Yeah,
something about
Lost
Middle
Middle
Earth.
Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still there on the blog. Like you can see what it was about, but
Yeah.
the link doesn't work anymore, sadly.
Yeah, we recorded on audioblogger.com, which I don't think is a website anymore.
No, it's long gone.
Lost that, but that was the sort of first attempt at a Lost podcast, and then Then we did the official first version, which was May 8th, podcast number 1, which was for episode 222 for the road. And I just find that so ironic, that episode title, and then us starting a 15-year journey, on the road of podcasting, the two of us. But so I thought we thought it'd be fun to play a little bit of podcast number 1. But we've got some trivia questions we're going to throw out to you guys. Some Lost Lowdown trivia that we'll see how hard it is. But Justin, you had a first trivia question you wanted to throw out before we hear this clip from podcast number 1, right?
Yes, and I will say to anyone here, don't use real. Don't just check it, because if you check it, you can find the answer. But see if you can actually remember, because I think it's more interesting that way. Okay, so right at the beginning of podcast number 1, welcome to the Lost Lowdown podcast number. What does Claude call it? And then what do I call it? That's sort of the first question. It's kind of a two-parter, I guess.
In podcast number 1, mainly because we had recorded that pre-thing we did before, we just mentioned, the podcast number 1, we called it a different number. And so the trivia question is, and we had different numbers between us, me and Justin. So throw out your answers to the trivia question. What do you think Claude called podcast number 1 in the intro for podcast number 1? And what do you think Justin called it?
Because it wasn't the same thing.
It wasn't the same thing. And the answer wasn't podcast number 1.
Yeah, of course it wasn't.
Yeah. Don't forget who we are, people. Think yeah. Steven's guessing that I called it number 1, that Justin called it
2. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Vince is getting close.
Vince is getting close. Actually, yeah, the answer, it's almost there.
Okay. Blake is guessing Claude number 4, a number. Nice. I like that.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Pretty good guesses, everyone. Some sensible, some more like us.
Some of them are definitely right on the right track, but I don't think anyone's gotten it dead on yet.
Yeah. Okay, Justin, hit us with the clip here.
-1, 0. Yeah. See, that all sounds so plausible.
Totally should have episode 0.
I agree. In retrospect, I kind of wish the first one had been -1 and the first one had been 0, but whatever.
Like you would have thought it was episode 0 because he knows you so well.
It's true.
Okay, so Justin's gonna do a screen share so we can hear this podcast. So I think you guys will all need to click on the button next to his name in order to join that and to hear the audio. I think that's how it works.
Yes, I believe that's correct.
Cool. So there should be a little button next to Justin's name in the voice chat that says live. So if you all click that and then watch stream, you should be able to hear when he plays. We'll listen to a little bit of this intro from 15 years ago today.
Yes, and this will reveal the answer.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. All right. Here we go.
Here we go.
And it didn't work. Okay, let's.
All right. Well, welcome to the Lost Lowdown Volume 2, or I should say Volume 1.2 or something.
2.5.
2.5? That's weird.
Yeah.
Episode 2.5.
We have to do another 0.5 episode so we can get him back.
Get him back. Yeah, we can do another half-ass episode like this one. Okay. That was a joke. Sorry. So anyway, this is Claude, and who am I talking with?
Justin.
Okay, so we're your hosts for the.
We won't use our last names.
We won't, because that's called anonymity. Anyway.
And that's what the internet is for.
Very good episode. This episode 220, I believe it was. And but first, let's look at our little list of things we got to talk about. Let's talk about the Lost.
Oh, we had a list.
News in the world of Lost.
This is how you know it's an old one.
Number one is apparently J.J. Abrams is leaving. Couldn't tell if he was leaving the show or if this article was just referencing the fact that the season's over.
I don't even know what the
Where's this
article.
article from?
Ooh.
I love this part.
I'm gonna say the internet.
Sorry, I thought you might know.
I just googled Lost in the news section, and whatever came up, it's from some online version of news.
In the future, maybe we'll link some of the stuff.
We will.
Spoiler alert, we never did
For
that.
now, just
No.
go find it.
That's how we do. So what's really interesting, which I'm sure we could all have guessed, but now it's nice to hear JJ say it, is that I quote, the ending of this year in Lost blows the ending of last season out of water. It's an incredible finale, and apparently things won't be out of the blue. But quote, what happens at the very end of this year for me is the greatest finale I've ever heard, and that it's gonna apparently tie some things together that have been brewing from the beginning of the season, which, as we know, the Lost guys like to I lost my train of thought. They like,
Right. Well, in
They
the
like to
first
do
season, there were
something.
some obvious things, the hatch, the raft, that we're sort of building.
yeah. Oh
This
god.
season, I'm not really sure what that would be. Maybe Henry, I don't know.
Okay.
The fucking Swan Station. Every time I hear that, I'm like, how do you not know what they're building? Anyway,
Yeah.
it's like,
Well, that little flashback there. Not much has changed.
no, it's shockingly similar.
Yeah. So the answer to the trivia question, I called it 1.2 and you called it 2.5.
2.5. That's right.
Why? Why?
I will never. I had a reason. I swear I had a reason, but I don't remember what it was. It has something to do with that first one, but then
Yeah.
in my head, like for some reason, that there was a podcast one in addition to that, and I don't know where that was, or I don't. Yeah, it makes no sense to me. or like because we did, or the first one was 1.5, even though it's like because you start with 1 and then but it was only 0.5, but it doesn't make any sense to me why I would think that.
Yeah. Maybe you meant to say 1.5.
Maybe I did.
Yeah.
Maybe I meant
I
to say
called it
1.
volume 1.2 because I think I was
Volume.
assuming the first one was 1.1, I guess.
Right.
I don't. There's no 1.0. But glad I lost my train of thought in the first 60
I
seconds.
know, that was great.
That's
That was
great.
great.
But okay, cool. And so yeah, we got a couple announcements we're going to share. We did tease that on the last podcast. But the next big trivia question, well, this is a big one. This is our claim to fame here. So as you guys know, we have been tallying, how many hours we've been podcasting over the years. Tallying up all of the length of the podcast over the years. As everybody knows, we're the longest running Lost podcast in history. I do think we should get a Guinness record at some point. I think we've earned that.
No matter what anyone else might say.
Other podcasts started first, but they didn't continue throughout the last 15 years.
Exactly. If you do one podcast every 5 years, I don't think that's continuing anyway.
Yeah. Okay, so the next big trivia question is,
Not to throw any shade.
what is the total number of hours recorded for the Lost Lowdown?
Yeah, closest. Okay,
Good.
Price is Right rules. Closest without going over.
Yeah. Closest without going
So
over.
you can give hours and minutes, minutes, and seconds if you feel that bold.
Mhm.
The answer is going to be hours, minutes, and seconds. So
Okay.
just be sure you factor that into your calculations.
Yeah.
I think we have announced this before, but it's been a while, so it's
Mhm.
we've added to it. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. No comment. But that's
So
healthy
we've got.
estimate.
So let's see, and this would be through the last podcast, right?
Yeah, through the 201 that we posted before.
Okay. So we've done 201 podcasts. So keep that in mind. We've done 201 podcasts throughout the first part of the Lost Lowdown when we were covering the episodes they aired. Our average episode was about 5 to 6 hours, something like that, 4 to 6 hours, something like that. Of course, we did those super long ones for the finales, and then in the commentary series, I think our average was probably more like 2 hours, maybe something like that. 2 to 3, or
yeah, we had some short ones and some longer ones.
Yeah, exactly. So 201 podcasts, 4 to 6 hours in the first part, 2 to 3 hours in the second part. So we've got Steven guessing 2,000 hours in 12 seconds. Let's see. Let me do some quick math here. 2,000 hours is 83 days.
That's a lot of days.
It's a lot of days. Let's see. Vince's
Hey, right? What else could it be?
Yeah, sorry. I'll get it. The number. Is that all the guesses? I think that's all the guesses. I'd look. Can I guess? Can I?
Please guess. Please do.
You know the answer, but can I guess?
Yeah. Guess away.
I'm gonna guess 1 million hours.
Oh my god.
Like.
Nice.
Those are really good guesses.
That's a lot.
Those are really good guesses. Some of you are closer than others. Say the number.
There's 20 minutes and 15 seconds. And within I don't know, 5 hours or so. That's really accurate. Yes, that is how this all started.
Yep.
Is that podcast matrix of data? Excel is really.
Wait. Sorry. Let me write the number down. What was it again? Oh, there he is.
Did it? Okay. It joined finally. Okay, there we go. All right, probably just a little gap there, but I think we got most of it.
Well, back to the recording. Yeah, that was a good segue. So 728 hours, 20 minutes, 15 seconds in 15 years. That's pretty something.
Indeed.
An adjective.
One more time. Okay. All right. I'll
hold this podcast together somehow.
Yeah.
We've done it for 15 years. It's no big deal.
Yeah, it was bad as those early days, no matter what.
So yeah, Justin and I've been trying to figure, what are we doing with the Lost Lowdown podcast after we get to the end here in the commentary series. And, a lot of it is, do we go back and do the whole show again? What's the real point of doing that? What is there left to really discuss with the show besides everything, right? And we've talked a lot of different options and things we could do to keep the podcast going and keep uncovering Lost and trying to figure out what it is. So we have a big reveal about what the next big Slowdown project is going to be. But first, Justin, tell us about the exciting world of the Justin podcast universe.
Oh no, you're throwing it to me.
Tell us our fan links that we have to fancy stuff now.
Oh! I'm revealing links. Sorry, if I sound like I'm unprepared, it's because I wasn't prepared. Okay. Yes, I can do that though. You want all the links to all the things?
Link us to all the things. I think there's 2 links.
Okay. Let's see if I can figure out the ones you have in mind.
Twitter and Patreon.
Okay, good. Yeah. So you got a nice, shiny new Twitter at Claude and Justin. Easy to remember.
There you go.
You know, we're trying to like bring the things together under an umbrella. So you know, follow that. That'll be our sort of generic Claude and Justin Twitter account. And then we have finally, after all these years, the Patreon. We've joined the Patreon.
Joined it.
And the Patreon is patreon.com/Claude and Justin.
There it is.
So it's the same thing as the Twitter, basically. So you can check that out if you want. And maybe special things will happen there.
Yikes.
Sorry, is that creepy or something?
Of course. So yeah, as everybody probably knows, you know, we never wanted to really monetize this podcast. It didn't really make any sense to us because we would be talking about this anyway. But some people have asked over the years to do a Patreon and to kind of, you know, have a way to get more content. So we decided, you know, after 15 years, we'll give that a shot.
Yeah, there's no harm in putting it up. I mean, no one has to join. It's voluntary.
Yeah, you're basically going to get the same stuff you would get if you don't join at all. But real quick, we'll just I just posted the link to the Patreon. You can check it out. We just added, you know, we just set everything up with the different tiers. Yeah, the big thing to know about the Patreon, the big important thing will be basically tied into the news of what the next Lost Slowdown project is going to be. Maybe that should be a trivia question. Maybe everyone can give their guess in the chat right now. What do you think the next Lost Slowdown project is going to be? What are we going to, you know, we did the original round of the show when it aired. Then we did the commentary series. Maybe you've gone to the Patreon and
read what it says.
Now you got the answer to that trivia question. I think we didn't script this correctly. Yes, the answer is the next the next Lost Slowdown project is going to be the making of our Lost book. Let's see. Lynn's saying they can't hear anything. Hopefully you can hear.
Oh, I'm showing that you are deafened.
Yeah, there's
undeafen yourself.
Yeah, there's a little symbol that looks like headphones next to the mic symbol, and if you click that, that's the deafen. So uncheck the deafen button and just it again, or maybe
maybe you can't hear this.
Oh,
right. Tech support. Yeah, are you okay? Yeah, there we go. That should help.
Okay, hopefully let's see. Hopefully
that will fix the problem.
There we go. Hopefully you can hear us now.
Yay! All right. Looks nice. Yeah. It was probably an accidental click or something.
Yeah. So we're writing our Lost book. We've mentioned it on the podcast in jest a few times, sometimes seriously probably as well. But the idea that we should kind of write down and compile some of the big ideas. Collate, comprise, and
compendiate.
A compendium. That's what it should be called. But yeah, basically all of the stuff we've done in the last 15 years, whatever nonsense we've learned about the show, figure out
It's
how
got
to
to be something, right?
gotta be something. We're desperate for it to be something. Because we're like Locke. We're Locke. We're like
Oh,
this.
we're so Locke.
This has to mean something, right?
Exactly.
Let's
Exactly.
just
We're supposed to do this. Damn it.
yeah. Our final podcast will end with us both saying, "I don't understand." Um, no. So basically, what we're thinking we're gonna do for the next big project for the Lost Lowdown is record podcasts that'll be Justin and I working through us writing this book. What's that going to be like, you ask? And do you want to listen to that? Well, that's for you to decide. Basically,
No one can tell you if that's what you want to do.
it's like the Matrix. No one can tell you what the Matrix is except for Morpheus. I'll tell you real quick.
Exactly.
But yeah, so basically, what we're thinking we're going to do is, we're going to start figuring out what are the big ideas that we feel like we have uncovered or discovered or invented, or what delusions we have bought into about Lost, and figure
So
out
many.
the structure of the chapter book, and then kind of work through that through a podcast format. So, so if you're on the Patreon at that level, you will be able to get access to the podcast. That'll be basically the two of us talking about the book, maybe chapter by chapter or topic by topic. We'll be diving into episodes and into production and non-production things about how the show was made, so we can kind of flesh out the big ideas of the book. We might be doing some commentary style podcasts if we say, hey, we want to write a chapter about this particular topic, and maybe the numbers are a good example of this idea, so we might go and listen to episodes that are about the numbers and things like that. So yeah, that's a big idea. We're really, really, really excited. I don't know any other podcast who's written a book about Lost. I'm just saying.
I 100% agree. Yeah. And really, yeah, I just think I mean, yeah, part of it you can call it hubris, but is it hubris if it's been 15 years? I don't know. It's not like I just woke up and I'm like, I'm the master of Lost. I don't know. I don't necessarily think we've solved the show, but I do think that like focusing on it for so intensely for so long has yielded something of interest.
Mm-hmm.
That yeah should be sort of solidified, clarified, condensed, and like put in a form where as kind of a final document of what this project has meant.
Mm-hmm.
For us, and hopefully maybe we'll communicate something also just about the show, and for I don't know. There's a lot of ideas about Lost out there, and I'm just struck by how often those ideas feel off base from what the show is actually like. So yeah, it'll be. I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. If you read the Lost Encyclopedia or something, it will be nothing like that.
You mean it'll be interesting and helpful?
Yeah, let's say.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things I already know is that we will be depending on all of you out there who are super Lost fans and LLD fans to help us remember what the hell we said about this show.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff that you guys think is really interesting and unique, and what you believe the show is really about, and the important things to hone in on. So it'll be a journey that we'll all be on together, kind of writing this book. And I think this is a really, really just perfect time to start it. And yeah, I'm really excited. I think it'll be really interesting. I don't think it's going to take us, the commentary series. I think
11 years.
11 years or 10 years?
I mean, yeah, I guess it's basically 10 years because we kind of had a rest period after the end of the show.
So it took us 10 years to do the commentary series. It's not going to take us 10 years to do the book. It's definitely
better not.
It can't. We won't let it. Please, everyone out there, don't
let us take that long.
Yes, we will be recording this. Welcome, Kilgurin. We will be recording this We are recording this podcast, and we will be posting it. Yeah, so I know everyone's got different things going on, so if you can't stay the whole time, that's cool. But we will be posting this later as episode 202. And then basically, yeah, that will be kind of the last podcast. You know, the one we just recorded and released 201 that we did last week is basically the last commentary series podcast. This live one we're recording right now will kind of be the bookend for that chapter, that second big chapter of the Lost Lowdown, and we'll start the third chapter. I think what we've kind of talked about so far, Justin, is the sort of book series will kind of start with the pilot. We might do some commentary on the pilot just to get back into thinking about where the show starts. Just as an easy kind of thing to discuss and talk about as a roadmap for the whole show, and as we kind of plan exactly what we want the book to be, and yeah, so we'll be using our Patreon to kind of as a hub for discussion. So if you all have topic ideas or chapter ideas, or make sure you guys mention this, or I think the important thing to know about Lost is this thing. We will certainly want to hear that, discuss that with you all, and of course everyone who contributes something will get a shout out in the book and all that kind of stuff. And we might figure out some cool other prizes and things to do there. But yeah, that's the big news. We were trying to tease that on the last podcast, so if you were waiting with bated breath for a week, you can now exhale.
Cool. The truth is out there.
Yeah, the truth is out there now.
Right? I just coined that.
Yeah. Oh, did you? Wow. There's an old 90s TV show that could have used that as a tagline.
I want to watch that show.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't get crappy.
Well, before we get into we do have some more trivia, right? We're going to do some more trivia.
Oh, I do have. Yeah, I think you have a couple, and I have one more. I have one more trivia question.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask this the right way. So, I don't. For those of you who've listened to the early days of the podcast, it was a running thing that that Claude would do a segue. Like I would start talking about some random crap, and Claude would try to bring us back into, either transitioning to another part of the episode or back to Lost or whatever. And like the classic move was like, I would say like something, and then you would say, what's not a something is, and then you would transition to the next part. So with that in mind, the question is, what is the second segue of that type that Claude uses in podcast number 1? What's not a blank is? That's the question.
That's a hard question. I think that's a hard question.
It's not a hard question.
That's a great one.
Yeah, that's a good one. I wish it had been that. Actually, that's another good trivia question that I don't know the answer to. Is like, when was the first business card reference? Mm-hmm. I don't actually know the answer. I'm sure that was within the first few, but I'm not sure if it's in podcast 1. It might not be.
I don't think it was, from what I remember.
Yeah, it might be in 2. What is a podcast about Lost is? Wow.
I think everyone's trying to queue up podcast number 1 to go listen to it.
Yeah, probably. What's not in the hatchet?
Oh, man, the hatch. Times with the hatch. Okay, Justin, hit us with the answer here.
Ready for the answer? So the answer was.
Before you hit us with the answer,
okay.
What was the topic, or is that the answer?
I guess I can explain the topic without literally giving the answer. So the topic was, we were talking about, they had just released. Does everybody remember reading the novel Bad Twin by Gary Troop?
By Gary Troop, Anagram for Purgatory?
Anagram for Purgatory, also known as the guy who gets sucked into the propeller behind Locke in the pilot. At least that's what they told us.
They claim, yep.
Yeah, like, okay. I'm sure you had that in mind. Anyway, wow, you actually listened to Bad Twin. I'm impressed. Well done. I never even bothered, and I consider myself such a big fan.
Was it worth it, Stephen? Was it worth it?
A few times. Oh, okay. Hey, maybe it's a good book. Who knows?
Hey, Stephen likes it. That's good enough for me.
If you like it, how bad can it be? Yeah, so anyway, we're talking about that. And basically, like, because Gary Troop is an anagram for Purgatory, the issue was, like, how likely is it that, you know, that just happened randomly? That like, they just came up with a name for the author of this book? Because it was known that, you know, it was known that, you know, that it was a made up name. You know, the actual author of the book was a ghostwriter, like uncredited, you know. So they came up with this name, and it just happened to anagram to Purgatory. And so I was like, okay, you know, so I'm going to do a little calculation here to figure out how likely it is that that just happened randomly. And then I gave a number, probability. I think the number I gave was actually too large, but yeah, so I called. Is it time to give it up?
I think it's time.
Okay. So basically, sorry, what did you say?
Sorry, the answer to the trivia question is...
the answer to the trivia question is, what's not a lower bound is...
everyone was thinking that, right?
Because I'm like, okay, it's like 0.05%, but actually, you know, because of English rules of letter order and stuff, it's not actually random, and so that was just a lower bound.
So you were trying to say what was the lower bound of the probability that Gary Troop would randomly be or that an anagram for Purgatory would randomly be Gary Troop?
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. Yeah. And it was like 0.05%, but yeah, it was actually too high because I miscalculated, which I corrected, and that was one of your trivia questions, I think.
If I remember
right.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I've got a couple of trivia questions to throw out there before we get to the next part of this podcast. See if you guys remember this. These will be pretty much throwback questions. So we did do a trivia contest back in 2006. So here's the first question. I remember this one. Who thought there were two groups of others, Claude or Justin? I remember this. So
I do know the answer to this one. Yep. Oh, wait. Spoiler alert. Sorry, I'm not supposed to do that.
Yeah, 50% chance of getting this right.
Yeah, this or that, you know, that always helps.
Yeah, it looks like most people, are getting it
right.
right.
Well done, everyone. Yep. Yeah, Locke probably thought that too.
Okay, who believes 100% that the sickness does not exist? Who thought the sickness was not a real thing?
In the early days, things changed over time.
Yeah. All right, we're getting a lot of Justins here.
Giving nothing away. Stoneface. Yeah. Oh, Kelvin. Actually, Kelvin is a good answer. He certainly acted like he didn't believe it.
Yeah, we could never get Kelvin on the podcast.
Oh man, I wish we could get Kelvin.
He's a fictional character. That's why we couldn't get him on here. Okay. Here's an interesting one. This is just a lost question. Where do we first see the numbers?
Where do we first see the numbers? We didn't give the answer.
Good question. to who believes sickness does not exist was Justin. Justin was convinced.
It was indeed me. I believed that, strangely. I think I was right at the time, but then I changed my mind. I don't know. Anyway. I don't know the answer to where we first saw the numbers. So
look at that. This is a hard one.
I'm trying to guess here. I feel like it was on Russo's map. That would be my guess.
Okay. Yeah, in the show, where do we first see the numbers?
Yeah, in the show. Saw?
All right.
Define your terms, please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was, I don't know if I would have gotten this one correct, but let's see if there's any more answers coming through here, any more guesses coming through. The lottery car, that's a good guess. Lottery ticket, that's a good guess. Part of the translation from Shannon. Okay. Steven doesn't believe in numbers exist. Wow. That's
well, maybe
true.
Numbers don't exist at all. I mean, that's a fair point.
Yikes. See, that'll be a chapter in the book. Do numbers exist?
I can definitely do a chapter on that.
So you're like, yes. The
yeah, exactly.
Where do we first see the numbers? The answer is Russo's map.
Oh, it was Russo's map. Wow. Okay. Nice.
Yeah. Which I assume because she heard them at the radio station and wrote them down.
Exactly. That's what brought them there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole point in the note. Because I think that's what happens is like Hurley Sayid and Shannon are translating, and like Hurley sees the map and he sees the numbers on it, and he's like, "Oh shit!" And so he goes to see Russo because he's like, "What does she know about the numbers? Why does she write the numbers on the map?" So I think that's the whole impetus for the on-island action in the numbers episode.
I wonder if she just wrote them down because like she was gonna change the message. She's like, "Well, if I have to change it back."
Yeah, it could be. It could be. I don't think they ever really explained it, to be honest. They don't. It's like by the time they get there, it doesn't really matter. So, classic Lost, I guess.
This was a thing that was very specific to the time period, and I'm not going to ask this as a trivia question, but remember when we used to put an F on everything that was fake and false?
Oh,
so
yeah.
Henry Gale was fairy. Right. And then the hatch was a fatch.
Remember the fake and the famp.
And the famp. Yeah. That time period when the others made that fake hatch door was so weird.
They were all about the fake stuff in the season 2 days.
Yeah. Well, they were like a theater troupe or something. They were just like putting on performances, and they don't even know why they were doing that.
Yeah, later on they kind of forgot that was a thing. They just like wore normal clothes and made camps that were real.
Yeah, it's weird. I'll never get over that. Okay, so before we move on into the actual commentary of the end, Justin and I wanted to give all of you a chance out there, since we're on a live podcast here. If you guys want to come on and share any thoughts about Lost or the Lost Lowdown or anything like that, we can. You can let us know in the chat if you want to talk a little bit, say hello, share any memories, whatever you want to say. Let us know and we can unmute you, and you can join the podcast here with your voice. So if anybody's interested in that, just let us know. Until then, I will throw out another trivia question, which is, who goes on the expedition to find Henry Gale's balloon?
Oh, okay. Sayid, obviously. Am I supposed to answer?
Well, not really.
Okay, sorry.
But Justin gave me a hint, Sayid.
Yeah, so it had to be Sayid because he's the one who comes back with the and I found this and I dug up the grave, and so yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Vince got it. Ana Lucia, Sayid, and Charlie. Which, that's a weird threesome. Yeah, that's a weird
Charlie
threesome.
There. That's just weird.
Whatever. Charlie never goes on trips, right? Barely.
No, it's kind of a callback to the pilot in a way, because like he goes in the pilot, but like you're right, like usually in the normal part of the show, he's not like a mission guy.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a specific Charlie thing.
Yeah, Steve, I think he was looking for drugs. He's always looking for drugs.
I have no idea why he went. It makes no sense to me.
Another chapter in the book. Why did Charlie go to Henry Gale's balloon? That was another thing too. The whole Henry Gale thing, the whole like pretending to be another person. Wow. The show was just crazy back.
It was such a long con, and you know the great thing about the show is they never quite tell us what the point of it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so, it's like I don't know.
They overreacted.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, there is the in Expose, there's a little bit where Paulo goes down in the Pearl Station and he sees Ben and Juliet, and they're looking in the Swan Station and they're talking about, you know, Ben getting Jack to do the surgery, and and I think Juliet says like, you know, how are you gonna get him to do it or something, and Ben says Michael, of course. And it's like, I think that's the closest we ever get to an idea of like what the plan was, but it really does seem like unnecessarily elaborate to be like, okay, I'll get captured and then we'll send Michael in and Michael will lie, but then he'll let me free and then they'll come after me and then we'll have Jack. It's just like, really?
Good mind.
That was the plan?
And wait, was this all to get Jack to do his back surgery?
Yeah, so I think so that's my inference from that scene in Expose, that actually the point of Henry Gale's plan was to get Jack to do the surgery.
Gotcha.
That was the end game.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous.
All right. Well, Justin, you want to get into the episode?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, Craig is back. We're about to do the commentary series. Justin just depressed us with news about Bo, and but I was going to say, you know what's not depressing is the final episode of Lost. Oh wait, it kind of is. Oh geez,
it is though. It kind of is. Right? Yeah. The show ends. Yeah.
Bittersweet, not completely depressing. It's
bittersweet. Yes.
And share. Okay, and everybody let us know if you have any problem with the audio or video as we get going here, but it should be all right. And okay, here we go for the end. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay. Previously on Lost.
Ooh. We're going to reference that again.
You have to protect it, so make sure you escort him down there.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. When you say it like that, it sounds ridiculous.
Yeah. Sorry, it's a little loud. Let me turn it down a little bit.
Rita's husband from Dexter.
I believe you have the ability to change how loud it sounds to you guys out there. If you right-click on my name, I think you can change it that way. Is that right, Justin?
Yeah. You can adjust your own. You can adjust your own audio independently, and you can also adjust our audio if one of us is too loud or whatever. If you do a right click or whatever, if you're on mobile, I don't know how that works, but there's probably a way.
Yep. All right, with the slow opening. So I remember this. Yeah, we talked about this last week. Starting with the coffin of Christian Shepherd.
Yeah, with
Arrive.
Christian Shepherd on it,
Yeah.
which is kind of weird.
Just in case anybody wants to know.
Yeah,
Who's
yeah,
inside.
yeah. They zoom in on it so it can all be nice and sure, and the
Mhm.
transition as well.
Every time they have photos like that, they all look fake, you know, because they're like photoshopped or
Mhm.
something. Remember the one with
Miss Hawking and
the
the monk guy.
uh,
Yeah, yeah, that was one of the worst photoshops on the whole show. That was so ridiculous, and that never even mattered. I like, why did they make a terrible Photoshop for something that didn't even matter?
because it didn't matter.
Okay, well, it's a question that answers itself, I guess.
Ben, Dr. Linus making a little
Please.
tea. Yeah.
Yeah, you can pop out the video, and then you should be able to see the video in a separate window and the chat. That's how I do it.
Pop it out.
There should be a pop out button, and then you can go back to the chat. I think that'll work. Right. That's where I done punched a hole.
Yeah, they didn't change that mirror yet.
Yeah, I don't know. Budget cuts. All right, this rando.
Mhm.
All right, Kay got shot in the candidate. I forgot about that. That's why she's wounded there. I think it's like, also I do find it a bit disconcerting that, I don't know if that's the right word. I don't even know what disconcerting means. Anyway, that this is the church where the lamppost is.
Yeah, right? Is that for real or is that just a production thing?
Well, it was a church in LA in the show.
Yeah, that's what obviously they knew what they were doing when they chose it, but
Yeah. But you
yeah,
could call it a production thing if you want, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. It just strikes me as weird that they use the same set for that. But it is like a church that they had used before, so
yeah,
I don't
the
know.
lamppost was the place where you could find the island, and in the Flash Sideways, the island doesn't exist.
Mhm.
So here's a place where they find the next where they're gonna go or whatever. Maybe that's the idea.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I guess so. I guess that sort of makes sense in a weird way. But it's just like, it was Miss Hawking who was there. Like, they didn't gather there. I don't know. It didn't really hold significance for them per se. So
Why isn't there a body in the coffin?
we talked about that. Is there a body in the coffin? That was my question.
I guess it shouldn't be, right? Because it would be Christian Shepherd's body, and he's not dead here. He's not dead in this world, right?
Right. But did he, like, teleport out, or, it's like, what is even possible in this world? What does it mean?
Yeah, he's never in it in this world.
Because, like, if you think back to the rest of the season, there's like Kimi and like all those people, like, they die, they got like shot and they were like dead in the Flash. So it's like, it seems like it is possible to die in the Flash. I don't know what that means, but it seems like it's possible. So, did Christian Shepherd actually die in the Flash? Was they just told Jack that he died? But then it's like, he could have, like, I don't know. But then if the Flash didn't even start until he's on the plane, then like all that stuff is just implanted memories. So it's sort of meaningless to even ask if it happened. Anyway, I have no idea what.
Let's ask our listeners. Do you guys think Christian's in that coffin and he just teleports out later for the last scene, or is he never really there? Is this even really Christian Shepherd that we see in this episode? It's Is Christian a Christian? That's a personal question.
Is he a shepherd?
He's definitely a shepherd.
He shepherds them in some way, I guess. I guess they're the flock.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, of course. No one ever feels anything different. He's not like, look, I can shoot lightning out of my hands, or like, I feel intrinsically that I'm gonna live forever now. Like, there's like no, I can touch people and draw them to the island. Like, there's no, I don't know. It's like being Jacob, just kind of like, the air goes out of the whoopee cushion or something.
Well, the like answer is he didn't put it out because he doesn't want to yet. It's not necessary for his plan. And then it's like he doesn't know where it is.
Yeah, Sawyer talks about it like that was his plan all along. I think that's a weird turn that they do that is kind of a problem because I feel like they want that to have been his plan all along, but it clearly wasn't.
Yeah, it's like, well, Desmond's been on the island a long time. I mean, he was off for a while, but like when he was on there, why didn't he
Yeah.
use him then, right?
Yeah, he was there for years, literally years.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know if Desmond ever encountered the smoke monster. Period. I don't think it's confirmed that he did, if I'm remembering correctly.
Wait, say that again?
I don't think that Desmond ever encountered the smoke monster.
I think that's correct.
Like, he meets Locke, quote unquote Locke in season 6, but so it's like the smoke monster took no interest, which kind of makes no sense in retrospect.
Yeah,
because like he could have gone through with this plan, like, before. I don't know. I mean, I guess he couldn't have found the place, but then it's weird that he needs like the leader to lead him to the place. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
The more you think about the plan, the more it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, he could have, tried to convince Desmond not to press the button, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that the spawn station.
Yeah, it seemed like he was doing that with Echo. Well, I guess the opposite, like convincing him to press it. But, so like at that point, he sends Echo the dream. He leads them to the question mark. Mm-hmm. It seemed like he took an interest in the Swan Station, but not Desmond. He just kind of left him alone and never really bothered him until later when he, for whatever reason, realized. I guess the reason is because Widmore told him. Like, I guess the idea is he just didn't even know.
Oh, can't you read?
That's a classic line.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard "Can't you read" like a lot of times.
And by Widmore, he means Dan Widmore. Who's he talking to? Okay.
Or wait, what did he say about Widmore?
He said I told Widmore's other monkey the same thing or something.
Oh no, I think he means Charles / Miss Hawking, who's I guess Widmore in this, because they're putting on the benefit so that he's supposed to play at.
Yeah, but Charles Widmore isn't there, is he? He's not there.
Yeah, but a lackey, a lackey.
Okay.
Like I think the implication is like someone else showed up for Charlie, Senpai Widmore.
I would imagine that it was. Is Hawking going by Widmore or something? Like,
yeah, Hawking's going by Widmore.
Okay.
Because they're married in this.
Gotcha.
Whatever you want to call it. I want to say timeline, but that's not the word for a place where there is no now.
Well,
On the finale podcast, you complained a lot about Hurley talking about how they're gonna die. You were like, "Why is Hurley telling them they're gonna die?" Like,
mhm. It does seem out of character for him.
yeah, that's pretty much what you were saying. It was interesting.
I agree with me.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of feel like they didn't have anything else for Hurley to do, and so they just kind of gave him this generic portent of doom line.
Considering that Jack just became Jacob, you think Hurley would be more confident that it would all work out?
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Yeah.
somehow,
They're just not impressed. It's like, whatever.
I haven't been down with anything since.
Not going down with anything. It's a weird thing to say.
Oh, Ben. Yeah, this is weird. Like, he's a smoke monster. He could just, like,
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't need to. Why would he be figurative about that?
I actually feel like this is almost a great callback to when Locke is like, "Is this the magic box?" And Ben's like, "The box is a metaphor."
Yeah.
I feel like that's almost what they want to do. It doesn't quite
I see.
sync up, but it's sort of like putting Ben on the other side of that. Like,
Mhm.
I thought it was a metaphor, but it wasn't.
Uh-oh.
So I think there was a dog here. Wow.
Oh, I see. They follow the dog tracks to. I never really
Yeah.
put that together. Okay. They
Yeah.
follow the dog tracks here. So Vincent, look at Vincent screwing things up once again.
Well, I mean, I think Vincent was the one who probably alerted Rose and Bernard that Desmond was in the well, which is
Gotcha.
like, I think, kind of a Lassie reference, which is
Yeah.
a really weird thing to do at
Mhm.
this point in the show. It reminds me of when Twin Peaks did like the Marlon Brando stuff. Like, it's like, why is that? Why are you spending time on that? So anyway, just to say, like, Desmond wouldn't have been rescued, I think, without Vincent. So, you know, he gets points for that and loses points for leading the Men in Black there.
We don't like well drama. Here comes the drama. Nope, I got caught. Yeah, they don't know who this guy is, right?
Yeah, this continues to bother me. I think I said this in the other one, but it bothers me so much. I'll happily say it twice. It really, you know, and this is where like the Flash Sideways stuff, like the fact that they don't talk about things, like starts to bother me because I feel like they go to their graves thinking like this was Locke here. This is what Locke did.
Mm-hmm.
He showed up and threatened to kill them if they didn't give him Desmond. Like, then they're just like hanging out in the church with him. Like, it's all cool now. Like,
it matters
why?
after you're dead. I still don't get why he would take the word of a smoke monster.
You know, I have a faint memory of this thing I remember in season 6, this thing of like, the smoke monster is like obligated to obey his word. I don't know why I ever thought that or where that came from, but I do remember like having that idea back then. So anyway, I remember thinking that was some weird version of that, but like having watch episode. I don't really see any basis for it, so I don't know. I don't know. It's just like basically like he can't give him anything else. So it's just like I'll get your word, I guess. Crackle, crackle.
Yeah, yikes.
Yeah, this is like Ben's redemption, quasi redemption, I guess, after sort of turning evil in the previous episode.
And he's outpert.
Outpert? Oh no. Yeah. It's really sad when like this reminds me of the Kimi thing, like how the smoke monster sometimes it'll just kill you, like really a lot of like kill you, but sometimes it just kind of like beats you up a little bit, like I'm not worried about you. It's like, why even bother to push him out of the way, like it was totally ineffectual. Like he could have just done nothing and the result would have been the same.
It's almost like there's writers who are planning what these characters are going to do, and when they don't need them to do anything, they get knocked out for a little bit.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, it was the same thing with the blowing up the plane plot. Like they had that like forever ago, and then like it's like 3 or 4 episodes, and then we pick it up, and it's like, oh my god, have they been walking across the island for the last like 3 days? Like I think the timeline is just compressed, but it's crazy. Yeah, we will never see the smoke monster in the finale episode. So yeah. The final Smokey appearance was in the second to last episode when he knocks Richard out, which is pretty weird. I did think he would turn into Smokey one more time, but it doesn't happen. He just stays his lock. He doesn't have to at this point either. He just chooses to for whatever reason. If you believe there's a reason.
Leave in the afterlife?
That's the solution.
Not like, let me get someone who speaks Korean.
Just talk as little as possible.
Yeah. She's like, I'll just gesture wildly. I'll draw what I'm saying in picture form.
Let's see. So I mean, there's the obvious reason why Juliet's here, so she can meet Sawyer, but yeah, you want a little we'll do Lost recap. So basically what happened was what had happened was there was the whole Sun and Jin plot. You can watch the package for that one, where there was like Kimi and Mikhail and Omar, and they had all this business. I needn't to recount it all, but eventually it ends with Sun getting shot and revealing, as she's being carried out, that she's pregnant. And so she's taken to the hospital. She's been shot, but she's also pregnant. So I think Juliet's there to check and make sure the baby's okay after she's had, whatever procedure to deal with the fact that she was shot. So I think that's basically the the reason why Juliet's there, like within the story.
When did we see Juliet? Sorry if you just said this. When did we see her before in The Flash Sideways?
This is the first time.
Oh, this is the first time. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, we never seen her before this. It's a reveal basically because yeah, she was doing V during season 6, so she was only in the first episode and this one. We already know because we already know everything because they're all
We
dead.
had a girl, and so now we know we're in an afterlife where we're gonna have a girl again.
Yeah, there's really no reason why that has to be true. If like Jack can have a fake boy, like they could have like a fake boy.
Yeah, everyone gets a fake boy.
Everyone gets a fake boy. Was that really Jack's idea? Okay, whatever. Oh, because of Desmond? Did he even think it was Desmond? All right, whatever. I don't remember what they said at the beginning.
Yeah, he said Jack said Locke wants to go to the island, and then Sawyer said he needs Desmond to do that.
Okay. Oh, so Jack just like realized what he was gonna do, even though he hadn't wanted to do that until very recently.
Yeah, because
Okay.
Jacob did say that Man in Black is looking for the cave.
Oh, he said he was gonna try to put it out. Yeah, you're right. It's like Jacob knew that he would turn to that, even though he really wasn't planning to until very recently.
That's the burning question I have: is why wasn't that his plan the whole time? Everybody else thinks that's his plan except for him. Like, how is that? Doesn't make any sense.
It's like eventually he circles around to it, so it's like it makes it seem like they were right.
It's almost like they wanted him to be a sympathetic villain this whole time, so they wanted his goal to be to go home, which is something you can sympathize with, not like I want to destroy the world or the island. But then logistically and plot wise, it makes sense for him to want to destroy the island, so they just had to introduce that at the very end.
Yeah,
but Jacob could have said he just wants to go home, and he'll find out that the only way to do that is to put out the light or something, right? Like,
right.
There's ways to have done it, but
yeah. I think I think it's kind of one of those problems. Like,
I want to talk about that line Jack said as well.
Oh, what did he say?
If I can fix you, Mr. Luck, that's all the peace I'll need.
Oh yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, so I do feel like with Jack and Locke, like they make some effort, even though it's all like kind of conveyed through metaphor. They don't really have a direct, like, full knowledge confrontation. Like all that surgery stuff, and it does feel like they're making some effort to like reconcile, the fact that like Locke and Jack, like, when Locke died, like, the last time he saw Jack, he was like, "You're just a crazy old man, and there's nothing special about you, and get out of my face." Yeah. And so it's like, to me, the afterlife is kind of awkward. It's not as bad as Rose and Bernard, but I feel like the reason they have this plot, aside from more obvious reasons, is like it's sort of this metaphorical repairing of their, like real life conflict.
Mm-hmm. But why?
But why though?
In terms of, I'm glad you're at that 5-minute soliloquy, so I could just say, "But why?" But why? And I guess by that I mean, with everything else that's going on for Jack and the Flash sideways, and everything else that he needs to get over in terms of his past life, why would he say that about Locke? Like, is that even true for him here, or is that just a thing he's saying? And since he's still not awake and not the real fully realized Jack, that he's sort of wrong about that sentiment or something.
I guess like what I would want to say to justify it would be that like that's there's David, he reconciles with David, like we see him do that, and then he needs to fix Locke, and those are the two things he needs to do before he's ready to move on. Like, I don't know if he really knows. Well, he definitely doesn't literally know that, but that's sort of the underlying idea.
I got you. Okay, no, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Oh, the thing I was gonna say about Locke is, I feel like it's kind of like the season 5 stuff, where like when you have a plot that's like built around deception, it ends
Mhm.
up, and Henry Gale falls in this category too. Like
Yeah.
when you think it back, it ends up kind of falling apart because a lot of it is contrivance to maintain the deception. So like
Yeah.
Locke spent most of the season saying like, I just want to go home, just come with me. And
Yeah.
like it's only in The Candidate, which was only a few episodes ago, that it's revealed, oh no, he actually wants to kill them all. He doesn't want to leave the island with them.
But it's still not. He wants to get the light and put it out.
100%. But I'm just saying, like, it's
No,
an
you're
extension of what you were saying, that like they want to portray him sympathetically.
But no, I think you're completely right because it's like a 3-step process. 1 is I want to go home. 2 is I want to kill the candidates, and 3 is I'll kill the candidates by destroying the island.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just weird that he didn't want that the whole time. But yeah, you're right. The deception necessitates some of that.
Exactly. Yeah, they couldn't tell us he wanted to destroy the island. I mean, they could have, but then like that would have created other problems. It was easier just to be like, all I want to do is leave.
So here's Jack being. Is he being fatalistic here? Is this a Jack who believes he absolutely knows what's going to happen and he's completely convinced, or is he bluffing?
I think
is
he
he-
basically reveals later in a side conversation that he has no idea, but he just thinks he's going to be able to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he is bluffing here.
So it's more self confidence than feeling like he's fated to win or something.
Yeah. I mean, there's a fine line there, but yeah. Because I feel like in a way he does feel like he's fated to win, but that's where the self-confidence comes from, so I don't know.
Hey, I don't exist.
Yeah, it's weird that you don't exist and you're still here.
What's really weird, I'm going to say something to blow your mind, and maybe I've said this before, but what if David does exist? He's just not Jack's son in relationship to their past lives. Maybe he's a kid who died at this age, and he has some issue that he's dealing with like divorced parents or something.
Yeah.
Or like doctor parents or something weird. And so he just happens to integrate into this like situation, but he's not a completely like made up individual. Like he does exist.
Yeah. I mean, I think that would make sense. I think the only hesitation I have about that is that it seems like he's connected to people who have nothing to do with him, whereas it seems like the other people, when they, are put in these situations, like they're at least like connecting to people that they had connections with in real life, like they're not just like totally pulled out of context.
But we don't know what David's doing when he's not on screen. Like, what life is he having off screen, right?
Well, I just feel like we know enough to know that he wasn't connected to any of our characters, because I feel like we should have heard about that.
Yeah, but we talked about everyone would get a flash sideways, right? So everyone's in there doing different versions of their lives, right?
Yeah. No, it can work. It can work. It's just it just feels a little different from the way the other character stuff works, but it's hard to balance all that stuff. Yeah.
Well, he's unique because he gets a little bit more screen time, and it calls attention to himself versus the other people who are just around in the periphery of what the characters are doing.
Right. Yeah.
The world is full of people, right? I mean, this Flash Sideways world is...
Right. Yeah.
But he does feel like a Tulpa, right? It feels like at the end, when no one's interested in him, he disappears.
Exactly. See, I feel like that, and you talked about that on the finale podcast, like the idea that he continues to exist and he thinks his parents like disappeared, which I think is an interesting idea, but I think they just didn't show that. Like, Like,
Yeah.
if they wanted to, they could have. They could have shown him there by himself, and it could have been a quick shot if they want to convey. But I feel like the way they played it, it's like he just vanished, much in the way Christian just appears.
Because there's
You
no
know?
now here.
Yeah. Like his function was served, you know, and it really, that part really makes it seem like he's there for Jack. Like, if he's dealt with his thing, he should have moved on by now. But I guess you could believe that he went to move on as well, if you want. Like, I can't prove that that's wrong. Oh man. I wonder if Jack ever in those final 5 minutes thinks back to this and is like, oh yeah, Desmond like totally went to the Flash sideways. Like this weird place.
That's a great question.
Because it's actually like timeline wise fairly close to his death. You know, he should die within like, I don't even know, like a couple hours at the most.
Wait, what are you saying?
Jack?
Uh-huh.
Like he should die within a couple hours of that conversation. So like just the chances that he would remember it, you know, it makes it higher in my mind at least.
Yeah.
Because it would be like one of his last memories.
Jack wasn't interested in that. I mean, here's Desmond where they're at the brink of death, and he's telling him the most magnificent thing he's ever witnessed and experienced.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, whatever happened, and let's move on. It's
right.
So that even when these characters are at the height of their belief in the island and the mysteries and what's happening here, they're not all quite on the same page about what should happen now. You know,
they're kind of talking past each other.
Yeah.
Like the thing Jack's focused on doesn't allow him to because Desmond is slightly misinterpreting what he saw. So like the way he's presenting it is sort of inaccurate, and then that's making Jack reject it.
But it's so weird to say Desmond is key to whether or not the island is destroyed or not. Jack has the greatest mandate he's ever had into protecting the island and stopping this from happening, but he's not willing to talk more to Desmond to see what Desmond's perspective is on this, and in case there's something valuable about like what tactics should be here. That's what's a little strange. So like Jack is, it's almost like he's a man of faith now 100%, but it's still in the realm of dogma almost, right? He's still just as like sure of his belief as he was when he was not a man of faith or believed in the island. You know, to your point about like them talking past each other. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's a little strange because I would be like, oh, what do you know about what we're about to do here, Desmond? You went to where now, and who was? Who, I was there. Was I doing well? Was I dead? Like, did I tell you to stop what we're about to do? Like, that's a different show.
Yeah. But you know, you're totally right. Like, I feel like that's a great point that I've never thought about, which is like Jack should react to that, and he really just brushes it off, like because Desmond's like none of this matters. Like he gets stuck on that.
Yeah,
you know, because he can't believe that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's weird.
Just like we're watching Sight and Shannon. Sorry to say, that does have to happen here.
Imagine how awesome it would be if when we saw that moment, that beautifully shot and acted moment of Sight and Shannon, we actually cared. We were actually like, oh yes, the best couple on the show. Whoever wanted was for Sight and Shannon to finally reunite after all. You know, imagine if it was that moment and this was here right now. And that's what they want, but like that's not what happened, and that's not what they were able to create, you know. And that's unfortunate. It should be huge, right?
Yeah.
It's around the same level of Sawyer and Juliet, right? It's like that kind of like, and even more because of the time difference.
You know? Well, Sawyer and Juliet works better for a wide variety of reasons that I will now enumerate.
Look, dude, save it for the book.
Oh, okay. No, just briefly, like, I mean, I think part of it is that it was more recent. Like, it's been a long time since Shannon was on the show at all, and that Saeed and Shannon's relationship was a thing. It is kind of true that like the screen time of the relationships are not that far apart, because they're both introduced towards the end of the season, and in both cases the other one of the party like dies shortly after the next season starts. So I think there's some symmetry there, but the Sawyer Juliet thing's more recent. And the other thing is Sawyer like really mourned for Juliet like for an extended period, which Saeed did as well for Shannon, to be fair. But that was back in season 2. Sawyer's mourning is like very much recent on the show. Like he's still living with it like presently. Whereas like for Saeed, he's gone through so much shit since Shannon that it just seems hard to believe that he's even thinking about it. And the other thing I want to say is that bugs me is I just wish they had set it up. Like they wanted to make it a surprise, I guess. But the result of that was that when the Man in Black asked him, like, what do you want? And he's like, the only thing I ever wanted, died in my arms, and I'll never have it back again. And it's like, what, they want to be ambiguous about what he means, but then it's like, you don't know for sure if he's even talking about Shannon. And so it just makes that feel less like like believable that he even is thinking about Shannon specifically, because like they're playing it in the same way. So it's just like,
I feel like the other thing, right, is he wasn't responsible for Shannon's death, right? Like the way I don't know. Part of the problem is the way Nadia is just his original love. I think that's just hard to deal with.
Yeah, it's the original thing from like his origin story that was why he was on the plane to go see Nadia. So yeah,
and then when he leaves the island, it's not like, oh, I'm all about Shannon. It's like, oh no, I'm finding Nadia.
He married Nadia, and then he told Locke when he came to visit him that those are the best 9 months of my life.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what? Like it's I don't know. And they even put Nadia in the Flash sideways. Like it would be one thing if they didn't even bother with Nadia in the Flash sideways. But like they did, and then I don't know.
Here's a question. Maybe since Nadia and Shannon are both in the Flash sideways, maybe there's some idea here that Saeed gets to choose again through his actions who he meets and ends up with. Mm-hmm. And if he really was supposed to be with Nadia, he would have found her or something. But instead, he finds Shannon.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a thing where he sort of has a choice, and it's, and maybe that's part of because his Flash sideways should be related to something he needs to learn or redo in his real life, right? Or something. Right. So some choice between the two of them, and maybe he felt obligated in some way. I don't know. I'm curious if there's an angle there that makes sense from how they set that up.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it feels like in my head the way it really worked was we want everybody from season 1 in the church. Mm-hmm. So Saeed and Shannon are going to be in the church. Mm-hmm. And they were a couple for a while, so it's going to be weird if they're not together. So let's put them together. I feel like it's really, they want Shannon there, and it's going to be weird if Saeed and Shannon are there and not together. And I just feel like that's where it starts.
But what's weird is they could have had they could have had Shannon and Boone, like obviously not as a romantic couple, but like reconciled in their sibling relationship.
As the focal point, yeah.
Not every love in that room was romantic love. Most of it was, but part of it was the friendships, right? And so that could have been a different angle where they can still have both people there. But then
Yeah, I think Locke and Boone are unaccompanied.
Mhm.
I think they're the only two. So it is possible.
Another chance to show some reconciliation about the past because Locke got Boone killed. Uh,
Right.
so yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I wish they had maybe expanded their horizons for how that final thing could work, because it does seem like they basically had one idea of how it worked,
Yeah.
and pretty much all the cases fall into that. I mean, Locke could have been there with Helen. If Locke had been there with Helen, like,
Oh man.
it wouldn't have been that shocking. I mean, it only would have been slightly crazier than Penny being there. I mean, because she is more connected to the island than Helen was, but but like, they repaired their, I don't know, they were doing okay in the Flash Sideways. So, and they were a couple in the Flash Sideways, unlike Sayid and Nadia.
Masterpiece Theater presents Drive Shaft.
Yeah, this is also like, this feels like practical, just like Say and Chan have to be together because they're going to be in the same room. Like,
Yeah.
it's like we have two musician things happening. Let's just put them together so we don't have to have like two performances.
Yeah.
I really thought they would play You All Everybody. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't. But I guess they thought that was too obvious or something. I don't know. David Lynch didn't think it was too obvious to have James sing Just You and I. So, just saying. They could have, for old time's sake.
Rendition of You All Everybody, that would have worked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, some kind of weird variation. I don't know. Could have had some resonance, because I think we just don't have a connection to Drive Shaft aside from You All Everybody.
Yeah.
So
don't forget the diaper commercial, or the whatever they call that.
Yeah, that was totally a diaper commercial. It was You All. What was it? You All Everybody or something. Yeah, there you go.
I don't know what it is, and I don't know why does this feel so 80s. What is it about what this looks like that feels like? Is it just Indiana Jones, or it just feels such like a
yeah, like Legend. Yeah, it's that kind of weird quasi fantasy caves and shit. Yeah, there's something about that. I think they made some kind of Indiana Jones reference earlier in the season with the temple and stuff.
On the cork says, "Do not remove under any circumstances." Please, whatever you do, don't do what you're doing right now.
Yeah, it does make me wish for the bigger budget thing that they wanted to do with the volcano.
Yeah.
Because that was the original vision, and I do feel like that could have been maybe a little more spectacular than what they had to go with here.
An opportunity to make some connection to the ash from the volcano being, something that affected would have been nice too.
Yeah, and I think, like, the other thing that's weird about this to me is there's a whole thing in season 1 with the caves, like, let's move to caves.
The worst question to ask you ever.
What?
I just thought of the worst question to ask you.
What would that be?
Why didn't they just put an ash ring around the light cave? And call it a day.
Because they don't even know about the ash, and Jacob didn't even talk about it, and they're just like done with that. So, like, yeah, there is no good reason. Oh my god, I don't know why I never even thought of that. That's such an obvious, easy solution.
Yeah, it just hit me after 15 years.
What do they do? They jump over the thing, and then he's like, "Oh, I'll try to make a tree fall on you." Like, what is he gonna do? Like.
Yeah, they could have said the reason he's never tried to put the light out is because there was an ash line around.
He can't get there. Yeah.
He just wants to go home.
they had no intention of ever mentioning the Ash again after Sundown. It was just gone.
Yeah.
Anyway, the thing I was gonna say about season 1 is shark is they had the cave set
Is there
and
a doctor here? Sorry, the cave set.
and they abandoned it because they didn't like how it looked. And I just think it's weird that they're coming back to a cave set now.
Yes.
You know, after like specifically abandoning a whole, not because they didn't like the story idea or it didn't make sense, but just because they didn't like how it looked.
Yeah.
And now it's like
look good. Not even good. It's just hard to make it look right, you know, realistic, because it feels like a set.
Yeah, it really does. It really does.
Same with the temple stuff, you know.
Yeah, totally.
See, when he says I chose to ignore you, like that's part of his thing, right? That's the opposite of what he did in real life, was to take her advice about what to do.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's like a progression. That's like sort of a resolution of their plot, if you want to call it that.
Mm-hmm. Are you a sun taker?
Why not, though?
Mm-hmm. And how does he know that along for the ride? How does he know who should go?
Yeah, I know. Why are you the decider? Like who gets to say, like, because he said that too about Ana Lucia, you know, like Hurley's like, is she coming with us? And he's like, she's not ready yet. And it's like, who are you to say that? Like,
yeah, isn't everybody ready once you force them awake?
Yeah, exactly. It just doesn't, I don't know. Desmond just like empowers himself for no apparent reason.
Mm-hmm. And that's what's weird is he doesn't, I don't know how he knows who should go, right?
Yeah.
It's really, because you know why he knows to wake them up, but who he decides to wake up and how is it's interesting.
Yeah. It does feel very like determined by the writers. Oh, another thing I wanted to say that I think we haven't emphasized that much, like sort of to your point about Boone and Shannon, and like, you know, they really don't get any attention at all in the Flash. I mean, they just kind of show up as glorified cameos.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, there's no space for them to actually do anything. So, like, I feel like that's part of the problem. Like, they should have. I guess the other problem is they're dead. So, you know, the way they did the Flash Sideways was like tie in the live character with the dead one. The only exception being Locke. So, like, you know, it just would have been hard to like work in a Boone and Shannon Flash Sideways story, like with the structure they have. So anyway, I wish they had done it, but I kind of see why they didn't.
They could have had a scene or two, you know, or something.
Yeah, they could have a scene. They could have a scene or two. I agree. It just wouldn't have been like, it would have had to have been pretty, you know, punchy.
Yeah. Like when Shannon got punched.
Like when Shannon got punched. Indeed.
Choo choo tunnel.
Yeah, so Aaron's another example, like, that I was going to bring up as far as David goes, you know, because this isn't really Aaron. I mean, if this is Aaron's Flash Sideways, it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I'm a baby. Like, that's it.
Yeah, Aaron does break the concept that I was thinking for the other character, but because Aaron is weird. Because why? Yeah, I don't get it.
It's sort of like this isn't really Aaron. It's like a manifestation of an Aaron type baby to serve the function of connecting the characters.
Or does like when the you know, when they're all in the church and Christian opens the doors and they all flash to wherever's next, does this version of Aaron not really go? Because like and maybe because there should be some version of Aaron that's an adult or whenever he died and on the in real life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Out here doing something at some point. So maybe after Claire flashes away, maybe he still grows up as Aaron with a Claire. Now it flips for him, right? Where
Mhm.
she's the figment and he's
Right.
the real. So maybe this is really baby Aaron, and after Claire leaves, he will get a new Claire that will raise him, and he'll go about his Flash sideways life until he needs to learn whatever he needs to learn. Like I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say that that's wrong.
Prove me wrong in 100 words or less. So this is supposed to be Ben saving Hurley.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's I guess they felt they needed to push Ben's redemption a little bit further before
By having him Hurley.
Yeah, exactly. And like specifically Hurley is gonna give him a chance, so
Yeah.
it's like it earns him some points. Chuck finally wakes up after being conked out.
Yeah.
He is down there, but okay.
Why is he even going after him? Isn't the whole point? I'm so confused now, and I've seen this episode last week. Isn't the whole point to stop him from destroying the island by protecting the light?
No, now it's to stop him from leaving. Or it's just revenge for killing Sanjin and Saeed. Who knows?
Desmond is the one who put out the light.
Yeah, well.
Him into doing the thing he didn't even know he was tricking them into doing. Because nobody knows what's going on right now down there.
He came out punching Locke, and then Locke hit him with a rock. So I feel like it's like I'll finish what I started, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, but the point is to protect the light cave, not stop Locke. That's what's weird.
Well, that doesn't seem to be his priority. He worries about that after he kills Locke.
Or if he intuited, oh, he can be killed now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like now that's why it's a priority, because this is our chance to defeat the smoke monster once and for all.
Yeah. I think he's supposed to know that. Or at least, think that that's possible.
When they see him bleeding. Oh, that's right. They already showed that, right?
Yeah. Because he comes out of the cave, he punches him, and then Locke hits him with the rock.
Forget what I said. That's perfect.
No, that's totally the idea. Every time I see this shot, I just wish he would just jump. Just get over, just go there. Just fucking fly there.
The rocks will kill you down there, but
oh no.
So weird.
Anime punch time.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, he doesn't have to run to Jack either. I feel like they're both to blame for this.
Yeah. And the worst punch ever.
Yes.
And Locke doesn't kick. Yeah, yikes.
Yeah, it's classic commercial break letdown. Take off the backpack. There we go.
Yeah.
What's even in that backpack, by the way?
No.
Like, did you manifest
all his whittlings
backpack? Like, what?
His whittlings.
I do think this is where Desmond and Kelvin fought. Or at least it's the same type of area. There wasn't a ladder there, I don't think, but maybe I'm wrong though.
No.
My appendix.
My throat. Why would he say that?
Yeah, it's weird.
I'd also be interested to hear something about him being, feeling pain for the first time in 2,000 years or whatever.
Yeah, I remember being very disappointed with the way it ends. Like, I want you to know that you died for nothing. Like, it just feels a bit like empty after all of this.
Yeah.
I wanted him to have something more interesting to say as his final words.
Yeah. And You're Too Late's not that great either.
No, it's like he becomes generic lost villain number 5, like at the end. Like, he loses anything distinctive about being the smoke monster, about being 2,000 years old. Like,
imagine if he's
some guy.
Imagine if he said this isn't the end. And then how that would shape the rest of this episode of us waiting for his final strike, as every good villain, especially in horror, kill them has that second strike you don't see coming.
Totally. And I've said it a million times, but I'll just say it again. Like, I thought he was going to turn into a smoke monster and like intercept the plane when it took off. I totally expected that to happen because I didn't think he was dead.
Yeah.
I thought when they showed him there, like, he was going to come back, and that was why they showed him. But actually, it was reversed. They showed him because they wanted to show he was dead. So however far we are in the episode now, like, that's it. I mean, they defeated Man in Black. The rest of the episode, like, there's very little island stuff left. There's just a little business with Hurley and going down the cave. And most of what happens from now on is Flash Sideways.
Yeah, wow.
It's a weird transition, but I talked about it in the initial reaction, and I talked about it on the finale podcast, but you can really feel like the center of gravity of the show change, and it feels like the island stuff matters less and less, and the Flash Sideways stuff starts mattering more.
Yeah.
Can't get over the orange smile being one of his beautiful memories, and the encounter with the smoke monster.
Well, that's when he saw the most beautiful thing he ever saw.
You're right. It was beautiful. I forgot about that. Did he ever, like... Oh, well, whatever. We'll never know.
So that's interesting. Jack was like, okay, I just fixed you. Now, the number 2 thing on my list is this thing with my son.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, I wish he would say, your father says hello. And imagine Jack would have a flash, right? He'd have a flash of maybe the island in season 1 or something, or whatever, and kind of start prompting him to wake up.
Yeah, you're right. He totally could have said that, and it would have led into the finale in a natural way. Oops.
Yeah, it would have been. We would be theorizing that Locke had a sense that Christian Shepherd's going to come back.
Yeah.
It's part of this story here. Yeah.
Yeah, it could have tied that whole thing together that I've always been disappointed by.
And a great callback to when Locke said it the first time, and it was like when Jack was the worst he had been to Locke.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's a good example of just like an easy win that they don't take, Like, I always wanted them to have Claire get on a helicopter in the Flash Sideways, just because, like, they could have.
Yeah. They got super close, but never did it.
Yeah. It was like that was the whole rationale for this whole thing. And like Charlie and Desmond are in the same room again. It's never like declaring it on the helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I guess it doesn't matter to them, but
You don't have to do anything anymore. You're dead. It'd be funny if Sawyer saw those flowers and he was like, "Le fleur." I have a memory of being a lawman.
I mean, it's the Flash sideways, so I guess, they're not real eyes. So
Yeah, does Sawyer does he have 2020 vision here? Because, hindsight is 2020 and he's dead. And he's looking back.
Oh no.
There are no optometrists in the
no.
Flash sideways.
Wow.
Get this microphone away from me! This is when Frank starts throwing walkie-talkies.
Oh yeah. It's a weird running gag.
It's a short run.
Yeah, the shortest running gag. Yeah.
Okay, so let's
like
go up
2 times.
to what Desmond did, guys. What are you guys thinking here? I don't understand.
Jack's about to say that.
Okay. It's the only thing I haven't ruined, like I said. So this is Jack thinking he has what it takes.
Yeah. I think so. Or at least, yeah.
Does anybody call Sawyer after they come back from the 70s? After he's
Oh, that's a good point.
I'm curious if it's consistently James.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they're all on that basis by now.
Mm-hmm.
So like no one really says that. I'm trying to think. I mean Ben's weird like that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I could see like maybe Hurley saying it at some point.
It'd be great if Kate, I mean, this is not the emotional moment for a joke, I guess, but I'd love for Kate to be like, if I had some thread, I'd stitch you up, Jack.
Oh, they had that conversation.
Oh, when was that?
It was, I think it was in What They Died For.
Oh.
They basically had that exchange.
Oh, that's right. All right, well, at least they did it.
Yeah. They're trying to tick all the callback boxes, and so they spread them out a little bit.
Everyone's got a bag for some reason. What's in your bag, guys?
I believe in duct tape.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say that, you know, if you've seen this episode before, I feel like knowing where it ends up, it really kind of undercuts the drama of the plane. Because it's like, I don't know, like, I feel like, you know, I mean, they show the runway breaking up and stuff, right? But so, like, maybe if they didn't get the plane repaired in time, they couldn't have taken the plane off. But, like, I feel like it's a clear implication that Hurley and Ben like get Desmond off the island, so like they probably could have got the rest of them off too. So it's like the urgency just feels a bit fake. So I don't know. It's something that bothers me when I watch it again.
Yeah, it does feel like maybe they're suggesting that the entire Hydra Island sank. I don't know if we're supposed to think that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And
If
then,
that's true, I mean, it would kind of change the game.
yeah,
I
like
guess.
if they don't get off on this plane, they're dead, basically.
Yeah.
Right, going
I
back.
mean, that's definitely what they want us to believe, but uh-oh. Vending machine.
How does he know he's a doctor?
Because he's in a hospital?
He's a man in a suit in a hospital that makes him a doctor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how it works. You ever walked in a hospital?
No.
No,
But
it's
it's-
like maybe he had like an intuition. I don't know.
Yeah. Uh-oh. G23, was that his candy choice?
Oh no. You really can't do this in vending machines anymore.
No, we all know that. Movie magic.
They don't let you put your hand up there.
I'm allowed to do this. I'm allowed
I'm a
to.
cop, so I can break into a vending machine.
By candy, I mean Desmond. What's the version of dropping back down happened on the island when the plug was removed and put back?
The water, I guess.
Water.
The light drops back
Wait.
down.
Thematically, like
Yeah.
the afterlife, the oh no.
What a candy bar.
Ha! Give me that candy. Yeah, you see all the flashes of awesome times they had together and traumatic times they had together that like Shannon and Saeed didn't really have. Like,
Yeah, it makes me wonder why they didn't replay the Shannon death stuff.
Mhm.
Like, because that would have recalled like the tragedy of their separation. Maybe they thought it was too repetitive to do the same thing they did with this. I don't know. It's weird.
yeah, because with Sun and Jin, they didn't quite. I don't remember if they showed the death scene in that in their
They
flight.
showed them in the sub. I mean, they didn't show like when they actually die because I think the water was like not over their heads yet.
Okay, yeah.
But like, yeah, it was recalling the death, I think, and that's also like more recent.
Mm-hmm.
I think you missed the concert.
A little late.
Call that phone. What would happen? Oh
Mhm.
God. Is the phone there? Did it ever exist?
Who's paying for that cellular service?
It's like call up. Yeah, exactly. Call up the cell phone company. Like, what plan do I have? Is there anyone else on it? Like, I really want to know how it works. Go to his room. Like, is the stuff still there? Like, how much? I don't know. How much disappeared?
No. Me.
Ow. Giving me flashes.
What's weird is that's actually similar. There's a similar idea here about what Smokey does, right? How Smokey can scan people and see their memories, and I wonder if it looks something like that. It's like a sequence of events type thing. Yeah, that's weird. I never really thought about it like that.
Yeah, me either. Me either. Yeah, there's something there. I guess, yeah, I can file that under my general wish that they had like connected the island story and the Flash Sideways a little more than they did. The cave, the smoke monster, the memories.
Yeah, and flashes before your eyes too, right? That's a similar thing there.
Yeah, you're right.
There's a lot of supposed to be's here.
I know. It's a lot of assumptions. Literally anything.
Any container will suffice.
Like that. Nasty, nasty bottle.
I guess that's why he had a backpack. Yeah, that water's not that clean. I thought it was a little
Yeah, I was trying to see like
Yeah.
it looks so much better in the bottle.
This is holy water.
Feel anything? Yeah, I didn't either.
I have to touch you. I'm surprised Desmond. I don't know. I guess he's at the heart of the island, but for a guy whose superpowers withstanding the stuff he's in, he really got knocked out pretty easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It does knock him out. It does knock him out. He just survives. That's it's a weirdly specific and limited superpower.
Mm-hmm.
Because like Widmore's test knocked him out too.
Yeah. That was
not as long, but
yeah,
still.
big time. Where'd they get that rope?
I think Locke had it. Because he was winding it at the beginning of the episode.
What if that rope turned into the smoke monster? That was a rope all along.
Oh, actually, no. I bet it was Rose and Bernard's rope, because he found it at the well, and so I bet what happened is.
Oh, I did. There was a scene where he was gathering the rope from the well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's the lineage of the rope.
Yep. All right. It's not like the compass. It actually started somewhere.
It did.
The rope in Luck's backpack. Okay.
Yeah.
Look, they answer so many questions on this show. It's really remarkable.
Yeah, see? Why are we complaining?
Yeah, wow. All right, from here on out, no more complaints.
Jack wasn't as right as you think. You were just wrong about like specifically what you saw and what it meant.
Yeah. Also, it's weird that Desmond's not like, no, I want to go back to the light. I didn't do it right. I got to try again. I need to put the thing back. Like he's disconnected from what he originally was trying to do. And now he's just like, oh, I have to put this thing back because the island's about to be destroyed. No, duh. And then Jack's like, yeah, the thing that you want, your wife and kid are actually here in the real world. Go to them, which is like, why didn't you believe that before? Why were you willing to leave them the version that's here on Earth?
It's really weird. It's really
they
weird.
Were dead. They were dead on Earth, and he's like, I can be with them again if I go to this place.
Yeah, it's like, no, they're just like out there, and you're just on an island again. It's like, I found new pennies, so sorry.
It doesn't remember that I don't like to wash the dishes. So, 0.03% better. All right, playing time.
I do wish they had more time for the Kate and Claire thing to like feel like there's something there. It's too easy and quick, and I don't know. They had nowhere to go with this storyline. Like, I get what they wanted to do, but I don't know. Too many mistakes were made, and I think they can't save it at this point. Okay. The end.
It's almost like what they almost maybe are trying to get to is, Kate and Claire are going to raise Aaron together in some sense, which would somehow be an ending for how Claire started with, like, being worried about being a mom because she wanted to give the baby up for adoption and all that stuff in the beginning.
Yeah. But I
agree. More time would have been nice.
And like, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think I get the idea, and that's it. Definitely, it just feels very lacking in impact, and I think it shouldn't. And I think that means something went wrong. And I think, the whole direction they went with Claire's storyline just failed. this season. That's one of the bigger disappointments in terms of like stuff I was anticipating for season 6. Because the setup was interesting, but the payoff was really lackluster.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing in the thing. What do you mean no?
Yeah, what do you mean no?
Why is he saying no?
Hey, give it a second. Jeez.
I know, like you want like instant magic fix everything? Like what the fuck? Calm down.
Frank is just screaming this entire. That was weird.
Here we go, Frank.
That was a weird thing to do. Talk about him, talk to himself in the third person or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Trait he's shown before.
Yeah, you're right. Right. All right, I want to see this Hydra Island like get destroyed here. Like just as they take off, it's like bam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the fact that they built this runway in season 3 and it was a whole mystery and really weird is pretty crazy. That that is something that they get a feather in their cap for, is being able to say they used the runway.
They can definitely say that they used the runway.
Yeah, definitely. Like it was important. There was the story could have happened this way without that runway.
Yeah, that's true. But I will deduct a few points for like fully connecting the dots there. Like, whose idea was it to build the runway? Mm-hmm. And why exactly did they build the runway?
Ben was tired of using the submarine to have to go off on the island. He needed easy connections to bigger airports, and he decided he wanted to build a runway. It's probably something dumb like that.
That sounds about right.
And that's where we get Aquafina water.
Oh my god, that would have been hilarious. The whole show was like an elaborate commercial.
The water bottle that Hurley had, he takes the Oceanic label off and it's Aquafina. Like, I knew this tasted like magic. The most mystical caves in all the world. The purity of Aquafina water will let you know you have what it takes.
Yeah, it's weird that he hasn't disappeared yet. Yeah, it should have been a Ben project, but then I think that means, much like what you just said, that like Ben's plan for the runway is not how they used it, which is fine, but it just I don't know.
Yeah, I could see Ben being tired of using the sub and like wanting a plane or something.
Yeah,
that seems like a normal.
It's a simple explanation. I could totally see them saying that.
Yeah. Because it had nothing to do with Jacob. It's not like he foresaw the future and decided to tell somebody something, right? So that's not
Right.
a possibility. So, anything realistic on the show. That's a philosophical question. What is inside when you're in a flash sideways?
There is no inside.
Hmm.
I do enjoy the scene. I have to say, I wish there were more scenes like this, but I guess again, much like Said and Shannon versus Sawyer and Juliet, like maybe they thought it was too repetitive to have a bunch of like reconciliation scenes.
Well, also, most characters don't need to reconcile because they're over it, and this scene is facilitated by the fact that he's not
Ben
actually
isn't over it.
He's got something to talk about.
Yeah, because Locke was actually gonna leave.
Roll right past him,
Yeah.
He didn't really want to talk about this. Desmond woke me up too early.
Yeah, he punched me in the face for no reason.
Mm-hmm. But that's what's weird when you wake up and you're still not ready to leave. I don't know if I really understand that case, because the whole point isn't it that you remember your life and that
that's how it's supposed to work.
But no, they all have something to work out still. So, get out of here, chair.
Yeah, I think Ben and Miss Hawking are the only ones I know of who are awake but don't leave.
Mm-hmm.
Right, now they have to tell us this so they can quickly cut to the flash sideways and explain that scene. Yeah, I guess maybe Danielle's there too with Ben.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's implied by what they show. Which I think is kind of weird, but
Jack is dead.
Mm-hmm.
What would have been great is if they said, no, Jack isn't dead. There's no way. And they actually went down there. I know it's dangerous down there and they don't want to write that. But they actually went down there and Jack was gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh no, he's real. We just confirmed it. That would have been nice.
Yeah. Yeah, they could have done that. I wonder how long, if ever, before they figure out what actually happened.
Yikes. I guess Vincent will lead them to the body so they can bury it or something, right?
You're right. Good point. Vincent knows where it is. I was going to say how they're going to find the body, but yeah, Vincent, he's got precedent for leading people to bodies, so.
Yes, he's Lassie. But the experience that Ben has isn't actually useful. He had experience killing and manipulating people. Which is not
yeah.
Or
it's
Ben
like
was like, early. I do.
Yeah. Yeah. Being a leader. And he has experience equate to be
in charge. It seems like Hurley should have demonstrated that he had all Phil's Jack.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
he's
just
having some of that imposter syndrome.
fake it till you make it, man. That's how all the greats do it.
Also, they wanted something for Ben to do, so yeah, it's they clearly have some struggles.
This is
Yeah, I mean, Kate remembers that at least. But he's actually,
she said.
it was. It was. It feels like there's some implicant there that I
Yeah.
don't get. Also, the same church. They used it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they showed like the main part of the church that much when they were doing the lamppost. I think they had like one or two scenes there, but it was mostly in the basement.
Yeah. God, what if Jack was a smoke monster?
There are people who believe it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I feel like they want us to maybe not even think about the implications of the smoke monster dying or Locke dying or the Man in Black dying.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, that would have been an interesting twist on Jack's sacrifice. The idea that okay, now he's the smoke monster of the island, and now he can never go home. You know, sort of a thing.
Yeah, or like if if there's all that stuff in the cave, right? The light, the death, the rebirth, the all that business. And like the smoke monster was a manifestation of some aspect of that, maybe the death or something. The idea that it was killed, did that change the nature of the cave? I mean, the show isn't remotely interested in that question, but it's a question you could ask because like what does it mean that this quote unquote smoke monster died? Like it seems like it should mean something, but the way they portray the cave, it's like it's the same as it was before. I don't know. I don't really get it.
Okay, maybe this is what Kate means. Like she knows that Jack will wake up from interacting with the coffin or his dad's funeral. So she's like, I brought you to the place that you need to wake up at.
Right. Yeah. I don't quite know how she would know that, but I mean, I don't know.
They all intuit these things.
They just have this knowing. Yeah.
She knows Jack. She knows the story, and she just goes, yeah. Because once once Desmond told her Christian Shepherd, was there or whatever, then she would have understood that, right? That Jack is here, then this is the place Jack needs to be.
Right. Were you ever in there?
No, I was never.
Ask that question.
Dad? Now this is a scene from Hamlet. But father,
Yikes.
You are dead to me.
My brother murdered me. Avenge me. No, in the Flash Sideways you died.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I guess that's not what he's talking about. Now.
What's weird is there's no answer to like how. There's a why,
Yeah.
but there's not a how. There's not a real how of like what are the mechanics that allow you to be here.
Oh, that reminds me, like, that was a big problem on Vince's list of mysteries. There were several questions that were along the lines of how, blah, 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 and we could never answer them.
Yes, yeah.
Because it's hard to answer a how question
Mhm.
in general. It's like, then you gotta go into, like, details, like, specific function and, like, aspects, like, the energy inside you is transferred to, like, what are they gonna say?
That or something better. Except this flash sideways stuff.
Your son's not real, though.
Yeah. I mean, so if you take what he just said literally and include the flash sideways stuff, there's something interesting about that. Like this reality is just as real as the other reality. You know.
That was something you really were committed to on the finale podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot agree.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it's an interesting idea. I just feel like I needed to see I needed to see them portray things differently or add some things to the Flash Sideways to convince me that it was really like that. And not just sort of a functional place that they all made together so they could find one another, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm. But that makes me think he's talking about the church.
Well, we talked about that too on the last podcast. I think it's ambiguous. When I read the lines closely, it did sound like he was basically talking about the Flash Sideways, but that line works better if it's the church.
Mm-hmm. Because he can't be talking about all the people who are here that he needed was everyone who was ever on the island, because there's a lot of people who aren't coming with him on this trip next. So he literally needs the people in the church. You can't do it alone. Nobody does it alone, right? So that makes me think he's really talking about the church here, which would help with the theory that this reality is just as real is still relative though, right? There's things that can happen here that maybe can't happen in the real world, but in terms of like, are these things real, not just figments of imaginations or delusions, but it's real in that sense, tangible, you know what I mean? Like It's not even if David could disappear in the blink of an eye, he was still real. He would have DNA, he would have molecules. There's just different rules or physics or whatever that could occur at this place.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you open doors, white light fills the room.
Yeah, so like the thing I got stuck on is like basically I wanted to say real means like our world. Mm-hmm. And it's not that. So it's not real if that's what you mean by real. But if you just mean like it obeys its own rules, yeah, like definitely.
Yeah, that what your consciousness is experiencing has a relationship to reality.
I mean, yeah, there's stuff there and it's got a way that it works, and but it just works very strangely, and it's hard to think of that as real because it's so different from what I'm used to being the so-called real world. So, but that's relative. It's not. I mean, who's to say what real is, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we're all living in a simulation, right?
Well, we probably are. But hopefully it's a simulation we all made together.
Oh, Aaron. I'm kind of surprised they didn't bring Vincent here, but maybe they couldn't figure out a way to have Vincent flash sideways.
Vincent had some things to deal with. He wasn't ready to move on.
Maybe the problem is that Vincent is connected to Walt and Michael, and they're not here.
Mm-hmm. All ducks don't go to flash sideways. Yeah.
It's just weird because they close on a shot of Vincent. Like, I don't know. It's not like Walt and Michael where they don't appear at all.
Maybe when the Christian opens the doors and the white light flashes, maybe they see Vincent next. Maybe he's the god of all of this, and he has an evil brother. And he was like, "See,
Oh no,
evil brother, I told you all humans are good." You know, Jacob, the Jacob version of Vincent and the pup in black.
Oh, it's adorable now.
I just want to go home.
Let's scratch the pup in black under the chin. Pup in black needs a belly rub.
Christian Shepherd, the Christian Shepherd's Man in Black. I mean, that's the kind of show I would love. You know, like that little extra twist where even at the very end you think you know what you're saying and you really kind of don't, or maybe don't.
It's a darker, more Twin Peaks-ish like kind of ending, like throwing the whole thing into like uncertainty.
But what I love is the idea that the characters wouldn't know, right? So it's not like they know that they lost or that they're being manipulated. The audience would know, and the characters are completely assured of all their choices by the end. So they still win in a certain way. So it's not like the Twin Peaks ending where like the character loses and there's a dark like twist, but like so that it would have been a bit more interesting that way, I think. Okay, so
maybe more like season 2 where like the other characters don't know that he's been, you know, replaced by Bob basically.
Yeah.
Like along those lines, like because I feel like like good for them they don't know, but like they're gonna find out, right? Because like they're not gonna end up like, you know, if the Man in Black is leading them into some trap or something, right? Or are they just gonna fade into oblivion? I mean, I feel like it's still dark even if they don't know. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Oh, it's definitely dark if they don't know, but from a character level, they still win in their character arc. You know?
Right? Yeah. You can have character closure like that. It's just the overall plot would be unresolved.
Well,
and the worst shot ever. Oh my god.
Ruining the entire show with this wreckage here.
Hate it.
You know, has there ever been any more emotional roller coaster than a like 2-hour journey to that emotional climax, and then smash cut to this wreckage, and you're like, what? Like, I'm seeing plane wreckage after I just saw these people flash into the afterlife. Like,
and they never do that in the credits. Like, you watch the rest of the show, like, it's just credits on a black screen. It would have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, can't you just tell them like not to like cut in with like tonight on News at 10?
A little title at the bottom that says ABC production footage or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's such a bad decision.
Well, okay, we've got to
unbelievable. We did.
Yeah,
we made it. We watched it again.
Did I like it
for the second time?
Yeah, I guess my biggest difference of emotions between now and the original time I saw it was just that, like, yeah, even though there's stuff I don't like about what they focused on, it feels like they're telling the story they really want to tell, you know? And so it's like I can accept everything on that level, whether if I like the details or not, you know?
Yeah. I think I kind of knew that at the time, but I didn't believe it. Or I didn't want to believe it, or I don't know what the right way to describe it is, but I just wasn't willing to go along for that ride. And I think if you are, it's definitely more enjoyable. I still think there are problems with it, even if you want to take their ride,
Yeah.
but it's definitely like, oh, it doesn't end with, hashtag asshole or whatever. Like it ends with something more like, well, I mean, there was some there was some rough patches in the plot, and some of the character resolutions were a bit unsatisfying, but like, they definitely hit some high notes there.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a finale. I think the dramatic weight of it all, like, definitely works, and that tone that they maintain comes through. And so yeah, I'll give them credit for that. It's just, you have to respond to it in a way where you don't necessarily think about other details from the show, or think about how it all hangs together, or question certain moments. Like, if you just
Mm-hmm.
kind of let go, if you will, and kind of accept it, I think that's the way it works best.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Letting go and accepting it.
Yeah.
So you're saying that the show about life wrote a finale in such a way where they impart a lesson that the point is to like let go and accept things.
Yeah,
Yes, just like life.
I think that's it. It makes sense. I mean, the show always had that element of a parallel between the experience of the audience and the experience of the characters.
Mhm.
So, um,
So you're
uh,
saying they could have written a more perfect finale, but that wouldn't have imparted the ultimate lesson because
indeed,
there'd be no friction, so we wouldn't be able to learn the lesson. So they did it
right.
for us.
They did it for us. Yeah, we should thank them. There we go.
All
Okay.
right, Craig. Craig's
One more
busy.
chance.
Um. Okay. Cool. Yeah. It's definitely interesting, and yeah, I'm curious to see the pilot again and kind of see how they set these characters up.
Yeah, yeah. It's such a it's yeah, it's such a different world in the pilot.
Mm-hmm.
The possibility space is so large then, of like where the show could go from there, and
Yeah.
how all those storylines could develop. And yeah, it's a good time. Yeah, so it'll be good. I've always wanted to go back to the pilot because we never properly did a commentary on it, because we did it before the finale, so we didn't know all that stuff you just watched when we saw the pilot. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think it makes the biggest difference, but in terms of understanding like what the point of the overall show was, and like particularly the Flash Sideways and the focus on season 1, I do feel like there's, I don't know. I feel like it makes me feel differently about the show as a whole, and therefore the pilot as well, knowing what's in the finale. So anyway, I think it'll be good to go back and do the pilot again
Yeah. Okay.
for
Sounds
that
good.
reason. And it also makes sense as a place to kind of start thinking about the book.
Mm-hmm. The book.
The book.
Yeah, the book's gonna be fun. There's a lot of interesting things to try to collate. What was the words we were using?
Collate, yes. I
Uh,
love collating things.
yeah, well, it's a fun thing to do. But yeah, I've got a lot of notes that I've taken over the commentary series podcast we've done about some stuff that can go in the book and kind of help with those ideas. And I'm sure Justin, you're listening to a lot of the old episodes. So it'll be good to kind of on maybe some of these big topics, kind of chart like what we, our progression in thinking on some of these things. Because I famously, up until the end was thinking the island was a spaceship from another dimension, and Man in Black was an
Right.
intergalactic prisoner. and Jacob was the warden, basically. uh, and I stand by that. I think that is true still, and I think the show proved me correct.
Don't want to let that one go.
Because when Jack and Desmond move the cork or the plug or whatever, I mean that's just, wouldn't an alien spaceship have a cork, right?
You would think so.
I think so. But yeah, no, I think it'll be interesting to go back and kind of hear what we used to think about certain things, and kind of see how that compares to where we ended up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then it's always good. And then another thing, that we haven't really had the ability to do over these years, with podcasting, is rewatch Lost a lot and in shorter periods of time, because with the commentary series, we didn't want to spoil ourselves on the rewatch as we were recording it. So, we weren't really rewatching the episodes before we did the commentary on them. So, a lot of that stuff I hadn't seen in years and years and years and years. And so it'll be nice now that we're done with the commentary series, we can go binge some Lost, right? Like, I don't think I've ever seen all 6 seasons in a row in binge format.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a whole adventure. Maybe some kind of a marathon podcast we could do. Hours.
I did that last year. It was interesting. It definitely plays differently when you do it like that. I think there are some things that work a lot better when you watch it like that.
Yeah, so that'll be fun to be able to go through a bunch of the old episodes, and because this is a lot of fun. I mean, there's I think that's what's the biggest thing is those early seasons are, like you were saying, they're more possibility, and so there's a lot more fun. And then it gets heavy. We got to go back, and it's okay,
Yeah.
Okay, now it's getting heavy here, and then it just heavier and heavier and heavier as the show goes on.
Definitely. Yeah. It kind of accumulates, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Collates,
if you will. Yeah, no, I mean, I think the show is never more exciting than it is in season 1. But I still value the rest of the show enough that I wouldn't, I mean, I wouldn't say just watch that. It's just there's just an extra something there. Before they added all the extra stuff. I guess part of the thing is that season 1 didn't have enough time for anything to get crappy.
Yeah, everything there, because it's all set up, so everything's
all set up. Exactly. Yeah. Everything was cool in season 1. Dharma was cool because we didn't know what it was, and
because it was season 1.
Yeah. The others
But Jacob was hoping it would be a 1-season show, like The Prisoner,
right?
Right. His show that's super great and only lasted 1 season. What a legacy!
Yeah. Oh man, if it ended like The Prisoner, that would have been weird. That would have been a very different show. I don't know.
I think it would just ended how it ended in season 1. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, just
wouldn't have gotten back up,
open-ended. Yeah. The Prisoner has a quasi finale. It's really weird. I don't know what to do with that show. It's a mess.
But I'm always remiss about Michael every time I get back to the end. All the characters we don't get to see. I mean, okay. Oh, that's right. We were supposed to do the New Man in Charge.
Oh. Oh, we gonna watch that now?
Yeah. That was part of the plan. Remember the plan?
Okay.
Bad plan that
Yeah,
came.
I forgot that that was part of the plan. All right. You
Yeah,
know,
we
pull
gotta
that up on like
epilogue here.
YouTube or something.
Yeah, I guess that's a thing.
I think it is there for what it's worth.
Okay. All right, I
Um,
think I got it. It's like 11 minutes. Is this it?
Yeah, 11 minutes. Yeah. Sounds right.
All right.
Yeah, we gotta watch this sometime, right? Do they have subtitles? Let's
Probably.
see.
It does not.
Looks like they don't. Yeah, it's too bad. Is there a version with subtitles? I want to have them with subtitles.
You can't go 12 minutes without subtitles.
It's just like there's like so many words, and like I want to. It just helps me if I can read them.
I like the reading of the words.
What is this, like Turkish version or something? I found one with Turkish subtitles. That's
Oh, do you care what language the subtitles are in?
I do. I'm sorry. Ooh, Italian subtitles. Look at that. Every subtitle you ever
Here's one
wanted.
with auto-generated English subtitles.
Okay, I'll take auto-generated. It's better than
Quality's
nothing.
not great though.
Oh well.
Don't mind us. We're just
Okay, wait. I found one.
podcast.
I found one. This is a good one. I think. Yeah. This is a good one. Quality looks nice. Here.
Okay, you ready? Share yours.
What?
You're gonna share your screen.
Oh, do you want me to do?
Oh, what are you doing?
I was gonna send it to you. I'm used to you sharing things.
Oh, okay, fine. Yeah,
It
that's fine.
scares me. All right, I put it in the other thing.
Okay.
I don't know why. I guess I could have just put that in the regular chat. Anyway.
Okay, here we're gonna screen share this thing. Okay. I have to press buttons. And this okay, here we go. Okay. So now everyone should be able to click on my name and join my stream here.
Okay, new man in charge. Woof.
I forgot we were gonna do that part of the commentary here. Okay, cool.
All right, this is short, so
Yeah.
let's do it.
Here we go.
Machine running.
Yeah.
That's not gonna help.
Wow. Dharma Logistics. I remember when they oh man, the first time I saw this.
The present. Love that. Ambiguous. How soon do you get those P's labeled?
Palette drops. Wow.
This is classic Lost right here. It's just like so boring and lackluster after
Yeah.
the mystery of the
Every-
palette drop.
This thing has something boring behind it as like a Damon Lindelof theme.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Also, bit like this whole thing is so meta. It's like these two are like the audience here, and Ben is like, the writers talking to us.
Yeah.
Like tie up a few loose ends. Like,
Mhm.
okay.
Mm-hmm. Why? $40. That's the same amount of time we've been loading pallets.
Exactly. And that's not really true because Miss Hawking was there. Okay.
All that food's gonna go to waste?
apparently.
A single question. Yikes. Make it count. Hawaii.
That was 2 questions.
That was 2 questions.
Their questions are terrible.
Like Kelvin and Desmond of this place.
Mm-hmm. I can't believe they're doing polar bear.
Yeah. Yeah. But here's another example of people who are in Dharma and have no idea what Dharma is doing. And
yeah, not they so have no idea that Dharma's been like gone for 20 years and they're still working.
I don't know. I wonder how they keep getting paid. For 20
Me too.
years.
It's like automatic. There's like a trust fund somewhere. I have no idea.
This is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, they decide to give us these like Dharma answers. Oh boy, here we go. Get ready. Strap in.
Why?
Because I have to explain why I was using fake names. It's a circular explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Hurlybird answer.
What do we call them this punny name?
So I guess this is explaining like why they brought the polar bears.
Yeah.
Like we know like Dharma brought the polar bears, but I guess they never totally explained why polar bears per se. Fish biscuit answer.
That's super weird, dude. I thought the whole point was the polar bears were pressing the buttons themselves to get the biscuit, but now they're saying someone gives it to them. Wow, that's weird. Is that what they're saying?
I didn't think they were saying that. I thought they were just like demonstrating how the thing worked, but the bear was supposed to do it.
But the way he just said it, it sounds
I
like...
thought he said after they complete the task, they'll be taken somewhere. I thought that was what he said.
We'll go to the transcript. Yeah, this is weirder than I thought. I actually forgot about this. I forgot how long this was. I thought it was just Ben showing up and saying, "You're free to go now," and then the thing with Walt.
Yeah, I actually think this part is the most interesting part of this. It's it's the implication here is that like Dharma's engaged in this like quasi torture brainwashing enterprise on the others. This is a much more interesting idea of Dharma than I ever had the impression from the show.
And it's weird because when we saw it, it was the others using it, about, right?
Yeah, that's the only thing we ever saw. This also explains why they mentioned Jacob in the video here.
Oh, I see. Oh, so this wasn't to indoctrinate them. This was just to wipe their memory.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's not brainwashing them to convince them of something. it's just a
Making
way
him
to.
forget.
That's weird. So is that a retcon for somebody who should have remembered something and but didn't?
I don't know. Maybe Ben was trying to make Carl forget Alex.
Mm-hmm. But is there any Dharma thing related to that? I guess.
Oh, Dharma thing? Yeah, I don't think so.
Wow.
I love that he uses an alias based on his dad's fake alias. Like, that's just weird. Like, oh, the others made you take the name Kevin Johnson. Well, I'll take another K Johnson name.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't even know why he's using an alias.
Because of the lie.
Is he telling a lie? Like, what lie is he telling?
You know,
They
the
came
lie.
back, right? I mean, the plane came back, right? Like, aren't they done with the lie? Like, the people they said were dead weren't dead. Like, I don't know. Like, when you were Henry Gale, is that what you're trying to say?
Well, but do the officials know that Walt is dead? You know what I
I
mean?
mean,
Like, is
they
it?
should think that he's dead, I guess, according to the
Yeah.
lie.
So that's why he can't use that identity. He has to use the
I'm just
Kevin.
saying, I feel like that game should be up because, like, Sawyer's gonna come back and, like, he should have been dead. I don't know. He's gonna live the lie too. Why are they living the lie? The lie was for Widmore, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this is such a weird moment. I don't understand the resonance of the Dharma granola bar. Like, that just strikes an odd note for me.
I thought there was something with the that Walt had with that. I can't remember though.
Because, like, he gets kidnapped before they even get in the Swan Station. And then we never see him in a Dharma station. It's implied that he would have been, but we never see it. You know, and then he leaves the island, and I don't know. It's like they're referencing something that happened off screen. They said you were crazy. I mean, you're not telling him that stuff, right? You're lying about everything. Like, I don't understand.
Well, it could have been when he was younger. What?
Yeah.
I always wanted to be like, but there's not enough road here. Where we're going, we don't need
We don't
roads.
need no roads. Yeah.
All right,
There it was.
that's it. That is
So,
it.
I mean, I do think like it actually helps to watch that immediately after the finale because it makes the Michael and Walt absence like a little less painful. That they
Yeah.
actually addressed it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know what the implication is about the job. I remember talking about that back in the day. It's a little bit confusing. It's like, is Hurley really saying like he's gonna give up his job like already? Like it can't have been that long.
Maybe he's saying after a certain period of time, or yeah. Yeah, yeah. What else could we be talking about?
Okay, so the line was um oh, I guess part of the problem is that it's like cutting in and out. So this is just like an incomplete thought. But the line was rewarding the bear with a fish biscuit once it has successfully performed a complex puzzle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, the fish biscuit thing.
So I think they meant the bear does it.
Mm-hmm. But I thought the implication was that that's why the guy had his arm bitten off because he was in the cage or something with the bear. But yeah, I'm just was making assumptions because they show the guy before when they say don't underestimate their intelligence and cunning. They
Mm-hmm.
show the guy with an arm
The
missing.
yeah, no, that is definitely
Cool. Yeah, I think you're right. It is helpful to get a little bit of clarity with Michael.
yeah, they actually imply that like Hurley talking to Michael, he didn't just forget about it and never do anything. Like he actually is trying to take action based on what Michael told him. And that's so rare on Lost. I feel like so many times they encounter a thing and they just like it's gone. It's like it never happened.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the point of it in the story has disappeared, but like he actually took it to heart that Michael said he was trapped there, and decided it's not 100% clear what the plan is, but to bring Walt there and somehow maybe that can help Michael get untrapped. And also like Walt is kind of, I mean, he's like sitting there in a mental institution. So, I feel like the reason they wrote it that way is so it's an improvement for him to leave.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want to have him like happy and living a normal life. And hey, let's take you away from that. But it is kind of sad that that's where he ends up.
Have a happy normal life without this closure, right? That it wouldn't even be possible. So we were watching an episode that had auto-generated subtitles, and I'm looking at the transcript now. And Walt's line is, "I thought I was crazy, not they thought I was crazy." When he said, "I was hoping one day somebody would come back for me."
Oh, I thought I was. Oh.
So
I thought it was they. I thought it was they for years. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Interesting. I swear I saw that even on the. Wow. All right. Good point.
All right, cool, man. Well, this has been a really awesome podcast. 202, right? 15 years. Well,
Hell yeah.
I think the answer to your question of do I want to do a podcast was yes.
Yeah, I hope so. It's gonna be weird if you come back with a no now.
Like, actually, can I change my answer?
Pass.
Delete all of the podcasts. Nah.
There never was a Lost Slowdown.
We're the David podcast.
Exactly.
Thank you everybody for joining us, for being on the Lost Slowdown train with us all these years. It really has meant a lot to us to have you guys around, and it's really, yeah, it's been really great, and the train's still going. This book,
chug. 15 more years, am I right?
Tunnel. Well, once the Lost Slowdown goes in that tunnel, as Kate knows, they're not coming back out. She's like, Aaron, don't you ever get on the train.
I love that. Oh,
Oh.
Choo-choo's not getting out of that tunnel.
She doesn't know what's in for her. Silly trains. But yeah, no, it's been awesome. So looking forward to the next chapter.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Great.
until next time, namaste.
Wow. Namaste and good luck. And I wasn't ready, so gonna take me a second.
This podcast is technically still going.
Sorry. We might cut this out or we might not. We'll see.